Welcome back to the party, everybody. I am your host, Lutch, aka the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. How is everybody doing tonight? Want to give a quick shout out to the replay gang. Thank you so much for coming back to watch this, guys. Even though you missed the live party, that is the best part. So make sure you are here every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, and sometimes whenever I feel like it. So hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and no matter what, you will never, ever, ever miss another live Indian Jesus party ever again. Before we begin, big thank you to the sponsor of the stream, my6shirt.com. Whatever your persuasion, they've got something for you. And of course, it is the only place to get your very own The Indian Jesus official merch. Only at my6shirt.com. All right. What is going on, everybody? We got some people in the building. Divining Rod, what is good? We got Kelly in the building. Welcome, guys. You saw the title. You saw the thumbnail. We gonna get into it. So this is a crime debate. A debate about crime between Sean Fitzgerald, who is aka Actual Justice Warrior, does great standalone videos. Guy who is very well versed in criminal justice and those kind of things. Will break down, the crime of the day, because there's always one. And they have the worst media spin on all of these things. So he does on his channel, he breaks these things down and gives you the truth. I actually had not heard of this Nick guy before, but as a socialist, you can kind of guess pretty much everything he's going to say. So with that said, let's get into it. And you guys know sometimes StreamYard can suck. So if you cannot hear the video, please do let me know. Let's do it. No sound yet? Okay, hold on.
All right, I do believe we are live. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Break the Rules live stream. I am your host, Lev Polyakov, and today we are going to be debating about crime in the city, crime, I would say, in general, since from what I was able to see, it has been rising in New York City, where I live and where Sean lives as well. So we want to figure out what is the best way to lower the crime. How do we get to a better life for all of us? I think that's regardless of what political side we're on, we're all after a better life. And once again, as I always say, don't forget to smash that subscribe button, smash that like button, take a look at the backlog of BTR. You're going to be very impressed with what you see if this is your first time here. Recently, we've had a stream with Curtis Yarvin, aka Mencious Moldbug. You are known as Actual Justice Warrior. I don't think it's quite a mind boggler to figure out why you called yourself that, but you also use a rabbit as a symbol. So just tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got started in this whole thing, and then I'm going to go to Nick.
Oh, so I'm Sean Fitzgerald. My channel is called Actual Justice Warrior. It's named for, I guess I have a background in criminal justice. And back in the day, when everybody was calling themselves a social justice warrior or, environmental justice or whatever, it's not the best name, but I got to roll with it. Sunk cost fallacy.
I like the name.
Today, we're going to be discussing crime. Crime is on the increase nationwide. Specifically in my city, in 2020, we saw a year-over-year increase of 47% in homicides. It's an absolute disaster. And I think a lot of these reform-minded policies are what's driving this, and a general attitude in the country against policing is what's driving the increase in crime. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Or, well, I don't know what Nick's going to say, but...
So basically, his position is that, and he says this all the time on his channel, so it's going to come up here as well, but he's not that not all criminals are Aladdin. And it's not just if you make sure people are happy and crime goes away. We'll get that.
Sounds good. Oh, and by the way, we are doing super chats at the end, so be sure to sneak those super chats away. So Nick, aka Socialist MMA, you are part of the Revolutionary Blackout Network. Can you please tell me about the origin of that? And and then just like Sean, tell us your thoughts on this particular debate.
So before he goes into his introduction, the main reason I wanted to show you this was not necessarily because of the points that are made, not necessarily because of what I believe about policing or crime or anything like that. This is us looking at debate tactics. It doesn't matter what you think about the issue itself. What I'm really, obviously the subject matter matters as well. But there's a heavy focus on why this debate goes the way it does. So let's hear from Nick Socialist MMA.
Yeah, the mainstream media is dominated by a bunch of black neoliberal voices. So Revolutionary Blackout,
So remember, the thing was, introduce yourself and tell us what you're about. All right, somebody's on the defensive already.
we return back to our radical roots, ones that you heard from Malcolm X, MLK, Fred Hampton.
Radical roots. Okay.
I actually co-founded 10 Demands as well in 2020 during the George Floyd protests.
I don't know what that is.
As black people, we need to insert self-determination. We cannot have this fascist authoritarian state continue to occupy our neighborhoods. And I don't even understand what we are even going to debate. What is there to debate?
If y'all had seen this already, that would be hilarious. I don't
We
even know
have
where
tried
you're
it either way. Like, you realize that the United States
So remember, the question was, tell us who you are so that we can get into the debate.
spend more on policing than every other country does on its military. So what is the debate? We tried it your way, and you guys have failed. You guys have failed. You guys are not even.
Who's you guys? I'm pretty sure from watching his videos every single day that Sean is a YouTuber, and the fact that he's on another YouTube channel with this guy up here, I believe he is also a YouTuber. So saying you guys is not a good thing. That's not a good phrase, especially in this context. Let Sean say you guys with the things that he's going to say.
Serious about public safety. You guys are deeply unserious. The only people who are serious about this are the abolitionists.
Serious.
The police does not solve crime. This is not a Rush Hour movie. This is not Die Hard. There's not cops on the street like superheroes saving people. And I need you to walk me through why you just mentioned how crime went up. That is despite police being funded more. Cops have failed. They are criminals. LAPD showed this. The New York NYPD showed this. Your profession is filled with rapists and criminals who do not protect people.
Unlike any other demographic in the world.
Sean?
40% of cops hit their wives.
All right, well, we'll get to the wife hitting later, but Sean, go for it.
I think that's ridiculous. We did see a dramatic decrease in crime from the 1990s levels due to the fact that we've really zeroed in on evidence-based policing practices, data-driven policing.
Crime has gone down for decades.
Oh, hold on. I want to make sure you guys don't disturb each other. So, Sean, you have a certain amount of time, and then if you go overboard, then Nick, you can follow up. No problem at all.
Yes, crime has gone down for decades after we implemented a lot of data-driven policing and other tactics in order to reduce criminality. This idea that the police are ineffective or that we don't have study after study that shows that if you send police to a neighborhood, it drives down crime is absurd. It does work. And we did see increases in crime recently. And this is largely due to the fact that we saw cuts in policing. Now, a lot of that funding has been restored, but the number of officers have not been restored. It's not like you cut your police force by 10% and then you restore the same dollar amount and all of a sudden you have a workable recruiting class.
So he actually just did a video on this exact thing because somebody was trying to say that they have, since the whole defund the police thing came around and all these budgets were lowered, that they have brought the budgets back up, at least to some extent, some police departments all the way. But the problem is that when you defund the police and then all your veteran officers are like, F this, I'm not doing this, I'm out of here. Then you have all this media about how bad cops are. Who do you think is going to apply to be cops? So even if they have the same amount of money as they did before, they're not the same department.
NYPD had a cut in policing. They dropped 2 academy classes. They're short 1,800 officers. 3,400 officers this year filed for retirement, and that leaves a gap, and it's going to take time in order to fill that gap. So you could raise the dollar amount going to the police, but you're still short officers.
The United States Police saw less than 2% of serious crimes. And Sean, I need you to define.
Notice how he just, again, this is how not to debate. Sean just laid out a whole bunch of very clear stats, points, claims, all these things. Well, 2% of serious crimes. Are you here, bro? Do I need to be here for this? Or are you just spouting and preaching?
What is a crime? The United States Police steal more money from us than criminals do. We have a corrupt regime, a corrupt oligarch that inside trade. We have a military that in that regime change war, illegal regime change wars, humanitarian crisis at the border where DHS officers was caught raping and sexually assaulting migrants. So what harm are you guys actually reducing? You guys are not.
Yeah, he's not answering the question at all. Kelly says, take too much money away from them and watch how much they give about their daily job. Exactly. What I mean, that's any job. That's not cops alone. That's any job. Take money away from your job. How much are you going to care? Great point, Kelly.
You're not solving serious crimes, nor are you guys stopping the corrupt ruling class from committing criminal act against the proletariat.
Notice that Nick keeps using this this framing of solving crimes. We're gonna come back to that, but think about what it means to you for a crime to be solved. What does that even mean? What does that sentence mean? And just lock that away.
You guys are complicit with helping the ruling class plunder the working class. Civil asset forfeiture steals more money than criminals do, and they steal money despite not charging them. 75% of the people we see in jail are not charged for a crime. You guys say we solved this crime. You guys literally
remember. Sean was talking about the numbers and the budget, and you guys are doing this. That's what Nick's doing.
Put people in plea deals because you know they're not guilty, and then you guys essentially like, well, our system is rigged. You guys know it's rigged. You guys know if you go through the criminal justice system that you guys won't get a fair trial. So you guys put these plea deals on people and put innocent people in jail, and then pat yourself on the head on your back because you guys do not investigate, nor do you guys get to the root cause of crime or actually solve any murders. How many people have been released free from prison over the last few years because the police and the criminal justice system just lock someone up to pad their numbers? You guys are not to be trusted.
Sean.
Okay, so I mean, I have to take these like one at a time. So first of all, the statistic about police solving crimes, like there's a reason why the police don't use quote unquote solved crimes as a stat. They use clearance rate. And if you look at different crimes, there are varying levels of clearance rate, which basically means a crime is reported, the police investigate, they make an arrest, and then they hand that off to the district attorney. A solved crime is a statistic made up by activists in order to depress the effectiveness of policing statistically. So what that stat actually shows is that police don't secure a conviction within the same calendar year in which a crime is reported. One of the reasons why we know this is a dramatically flawed statistic, first and foremost, is that police are not district attorneys' offices. They're not pursuing the charges in a court of law. So measuring their outcome by conviction doesn't make any sense. And we also understand that
hey, we got Mike in the building. What is good, Mike? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Says, I know there's some bad cops, but this guy make it sound like 100% of them are bad. That's because that's what he believes. He has no, as you will see, there is no room for nuance in this guy's brain. He has one idea: cops bad. And then his whole life is built around figuring out what other statistics or things that can be twisted to throw at the wall that goes along with cop bad. That really doesn't have anything to do with solving crime or anything like that. We got Lee in the building. What is good, Lee? Good to see you. Good to see you. Better training, higher salaries, more respect for starters. Delusional, self-righteous morons are destabilizing our society. You are correct, sir. Welcome to the party. So this is a crime debate between these two here, actual justice warrior and socialist MMA.
If you're arrested in
which, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, is a really odd name because MMA is one of the least comparable things to socialism that I can think of. MMA is one of the most meritocratic things in existence. But hey, whatever, dude.
Let's say the year 2021 and you're convicted in 2022.
So if you're arrested in 21 and convicted in 22,
that would not be counted in this solved crime statistic, although that did result in a conviction. So when you present numbers deliberately meant to skew down the effectiveness of police, unsurprisingly, you're going to come away with the perception that police are ineffective.
So over half of violent crimes are not even reported.
What are we doing here? This is how not to debate. And the sad thing is if you look up in the where the chat is, a bunch of people, I mean, and you're gonna find this with any YouTuber who has anything, but there's people who are like, oh yeah, they got him. Like Lee said, destabilizing society.
And you just admit that and when you look at the 2% of violent crimes are solved, these are violent crimes that are when there's an act, that's the amount of people who are being prosecuted. And then you ignore the massive amount of rape kits are not tested. The cops do not solve crime. They do not protect you. And in your answer, you even admit this.
So again, remember, he's bringing up this thing. Cops do not solve crimes, even though Sean just said, of course, they don't solve crimes. That's not their job. That's a prosecutor's job.
You guys can quote numbers. Oh, we caught this many people. How many people are getting away with the crimes that you guys are not stopping? Now, walk me through, for example, Sean, walk me through a home invasion, right? So someone breaks through your house. And do the cops show up and stop the burglar at the scene of the crime?
This is what he thinks solving a crime means. stopping a crime before it happens. Those are two different things, friend.
They do not. That is a childish belief. They come
It is a
after the
childish
crime has
belief.
already been committed.
Correct.
And that is the case all the time. And then
Yes.
at that point, it's guesswork. It's guesswork. And a lot of times, you guys catch the wrong person. And the rigged criminal justice system sends the wrong person to jail. We just covered the story a week ago. A guy who was wrongly convicted of murder, who was in prison for 50 years. And for every one story like that, you can might well say there are 10 people like that. You know how hard it is to prove false convictions? That's all you guys do. You guys just put the wrong people in jail. You guys do not prevent the crime
So he goes, and Nick rode on the short bus.
happening. But go ahead, Sean.
yeah.
Okay, I got a question. So if somebody is arrested, I don't know, let's say they commit a murder in December of 2021, and then in January of 2022, it's an airtight conviction, DNA, video evidence, everything you need, they plead guilty. Do you think that is a solved crime?
But did the police stop the crime from happening, Sean?
No, obviously they didn't stop the crime
Why-
from happening.
why
I'm asking you if you think that's a solved crime.
Sean, or Lev, the host, isn't this discussion about crime?
Yes, it
So if
is.
the police does not solve crime, what are you talking about, Sean?
Well,
Why
now
should we
you're
invest more
saying-
money?
Well,
Well,
now you're
ju-
pivoting from
just to
solved
humor.
crime.
There it is. If we're not talking about the police stopping crime, what are we talking about? We're talking about the police solving crime. Did you get it now? Mike said, I watch a lot of cop auditor videos. Yes, the cops need more training on our civil rights. That's not to say they need to be defunded. Yeah, I mean that was obvious from the time they first started saying that. It was obvious, and that's why I phrased it the poll the way I did, where nobody said they were in favor of defund the police. Some were like, well, yeah, but like not that meaning. Defund the police is just a terrible movement all around. Wording, policy, all around.
Yeah. Just to
No,
humor
I brought that
Sean.
up to prove a point that you guys are not doing anything, and there's no
Again, you guys.
public benefit.
You guys
Well, no,
ain't
no,
doing
just to humor Sean. Let's go along with this. So Nick, how would you answer?
Answer the question. Ask the question again. I think it's irrelevant because there was a broader point I was
Or maybe you just weren't listening, right?
making that the cops.
Well,
are not
let's
here
go through
to
that one piece at a time. Just
but,
so we're.
but let's repeat the question. I answer the question. I can do it either way. But the
So
thesis being that the cops are not going to be there to prevent that. So we need to address the root causes.
Well, before
of
we get to
crime.
the root
But
cause,
let's get
just
back
go-
to that.
let's- yeah,
We
let's
can
get
get
back
back
to
to hold that thought. That's a very
causes.
important thought. Now let's get back to the question.
Yes.
So if somebody like commits a murder on like December 28th,
Now,
2021.
the cops didn't stop. by the
Yeah,
way.
they didn't stop it, sure. And then on January 3rd, 2022, they make an arrest, airtight case, video evidence, DNA evidence,
Not
everything. You
often.
25
Bro. Like, shut up.
25 eyewitnesses, everything, and they get a conviction for
Fantasy.
that. And they get a conviction
my
for that
God.
person. Would you consider that hypothetical example a solved crime?
Okay, congratulations, 2%. You guys finally did it.
I'm asking you. Would you?
guys.
He didn't. Again, he was like, okay, all right, let's go back to the question I listened to the first time. Let's ask it again. And let's have the conversation. Okay. Then not even after, at the end of every single sentence, he jumped in and said something, cut off Sean. And now he's making jokes. He's like, oh, well, I didn't listen to what you said. So I'm just going to repeat what I said before. This is how not to debate.
So all right. So you can pat yourself on the back. You guys didn't stop the murder. So we talking about how to prevent crime.
No,
That
would
was
you consider?
Lev
Would
said.
So he's laying out a situation where the only use for cops is if they can prevent 100% of all the crimes. Talk about
Do
utopia.
you consider that a solved crime?
Even if we fund the police more, you guys are not going to stop these crimes from happening. You guys are not addressing public safety.
But would you? But
If he would listen for 5 seconds, he would realize that everybody already agrees with him. Nobody is saying the cops are precog machines from Minority Report.
would
That
you
is the
answer
point.
that question?
I will ask you a question.
Yes,
I guess that is a solved crime, but
Okay,
that does not address the root of what we are discussing.
Okay, well, your solved crime statistic would not consider that a solved crime because it requires this to all occur within the same calendar year, which is why that's a bad statistic, which is the point I'm trying to make. Now, as far as preventing crimes, yes, the police aren't going to prevent every crime, but we do know that police. But we do know that police patrol.
Okay, great. The police are not going to solve every crime. Great point. And what does that have to do with stopping crime that you're so obsessed with? Hey, we got Chester in the building. Aussie boy. What's good, brother? What's good? I don't understand what that dude is talking about. Who are you guys? That is exactly what I was saying. I don't know either. He's talking about cops in general. He's talking about people who have different ideologies than him. I don't know. We said, you guys did it. You guys did this. Congratulations. Now what? What are you saying, friend? We're just as lost as you were when you came into the Last of Us watch party. So don't worry. Hey, we got David Banner in the building. Welcome. Said he doesn't back the blue. Fair enough. Just does Sean think he's a cop? I mean, I don't think so. But Nick might think Sean's a cop. So said Matt Dillahunty would have hung up on this guy, and I wouldn't have blamed him. Yeah, I mean, that it's bad. It's bad. But we do get a little bit more on target. Unfortunately, the arguments don't get any better, but we do at least move along a little bit.
Deter some level of crime, and when you pull back the police, you get increases in crime. I mean, the Kansas City experiment is from the 90s. It goes back, it says that police patrols in a certain area helps disrupt and disperse crime. Every single crime study ever about removing police presence and the increase in crime, increasing police presence, and driving down crime. It's basic logic. If you're going to commit a crime, you're probably not going to do it, if you can help it, directly in front of a police officer.
You know why they do it?
You guys.
They do it because they're desperate. A lot of people are desperate. Cities spend.
And here it is. I told you guys it was coming. The Aladdin argument. He's about to bring it up. Well, the only reason people are going into Foot Locker and stealing a bunch of sneakers is because they need food. They're desperate.
50 to 80% of their budget on policing, and yet we are still having this conversation about crime, Sean. That's why I said in the very beginning, why are we even having this discussion? We tried it your way, despite the narrative coming from the right.
Your way.
The NYPD, the New York Police Department alone, spends 3 times more than the North Korean military. How much?
What's bigger, the state of New York or half of the island of Korea?
Money do you guys need? So if you're one of the people who do not feel safe in this country, despite that we spend more on our policing than other countries do in our military, there is nothing that's going to make you feel safe. You need to stop being a coward, stop being afraid of your neighbor, stop being afraid of your shadow, and we need to address the root causes of these problems. Study after study, society after society.
The projection. You need to man up. You need to stop being scared. Instead of saying we want cops, we just want to, I don't know, but I don't like it. So, just stop.
It shows that if you address the material conditions of people, food, hunger, housing, poverty, education, increase the quality of the life of the citizenry, that reduces crime. You brought the 90s. Why was there the decrease in crime in the 90s? Because you saw a growth of the middle class at that time. Hey,
we got I am in the building. What is good? Says Sean about to bitch slap his deadbeat ass. Oh my God. You right.
Crime, and you address the root cause of crime by addressing the material needs of the people. The United States is a neoliberal hellhole that has millions of homeless people because they don't have an affordable housing central planning model. Education is trash. 1 out of 5 kids live in poverty, and the poverty rates are already cooked. And you guys are asking questions about why crime is high? It's because you guys are not serious. Take this insane police budget and actually have a functioning society where we actually educate.
Okay, sure. How, Nick? What is it that you would like us to do? Because I'm open ears. I'm all ears. David said he don't back the blue. I am surely not a bootlicker. So definitely we could get rid of cops if we got a better idea. I'm all about that. I'm all for that. And yeah, the fact that the cops would beat the F out of you is definitely not a good thing. But I don't really know what that has to do with what Nick is saying. I don't think he knows what he's arguing about. I can't understand what he's trying to say. Yeah, that's not a cultural issue, my friend. That is just a dumb socialist. That's what they do. I am said I didn't realize that the NYT. I bet they don't. I bet that he pulled that out of his ass. I don't know, but I bet he pulled that out of his ass.
See, how's people?
And even if he didn't, again, how big is the state of New York versus half of the island of Korea?
And we do not give
or peninsula. Is it a peninsula or an island? I think it's a peninsula. There's water around it. I don't know.
People a reason to commit crime. There will always be
Hmm.
the oddball. There will always be random occurrences. People need to get over that. The police, as we already established, and Sean, you admit, will not stop that guy from murdering you. They may put him in prison, but they won't stop it. We can decrease.
You know what that does, Nick? It stops him from murdering again. That's the problem. You want to stop crime? Put away the people who are doing the crime.
The amount of people that is murdered, that is theft, that is assaulted by improving the people's material needs, and the police have siphoned our money.
Well, we got to let Sean answer though.
Seriously,
money
bro.
for that supposed to go to COVID relief to the police.
Talk about
How
TLA
does
with
this
the
make
log
sense?
stroke.
All right, but we got
God.
to let Sean answer. Sean, go for it.
So, I mean, the NYPD is the largest police department in the world. A lot of countries do use their military as a double for police, so I can understand how that might be a little bit of a skewed statistic. But the idea that New York City doesn't spend more money on education or more money on a bunch of transfer payments, or New York State doesn't do this, is ridiculous and absurd. And you talked about how,
That's just the bonus.
more people got wealthier during the 1990s, and that led to a crime decline that we saw in the 2000s and into the 2010s and up until the George Floyd riots. Yeah, that is true. People did get wealthier over that period of time, but people also got wealthier over the 70s and over the 80s, and we saw dramatic crime increases
the
into
point,
the
Sean.
mid.
Wait, Nick, we got to let Sean speak. You spoke
So
for
the
a
idea, so the idea that just improved economic circumstances leads to a reduction in crime is not shown by the numbers. In 2008, we had one of the greatest recessions in the history of the country. Guess what? Crime went down despite what people who think that poverty is the root cause of crime were predicting. This idea that criminals are just Aladdin and that they're only stealing because of their circumstances, but they all have a heart of gold, is just not true. And this idea that if you arrest somebody after they commit a crime, thus putting them in jail, preventing them committing future crimes, that doesn't have an effect on the overall crime rate, is also not borne out by the data. So
boom. And so Kelly is exactly right here. When it's definitely not possible to solve crime entirely by snuffing it out, it is possible to lower the numbers of the crimes that exist and deter those who attempt it. And again, clearly, Sean is clearly laying his points out, and Nick is just not responding to them. And if you look, this is where I got the idea for the thumbnail. But I was like, oh yeah, that's pretty much Nick's position. Free stuff equals no crime. Just okay, I got his point now. It's the same thing we've all heard for half a century. Complete nonsense. Pretty much. As maybe you weren't here yet when I said this, but a big reason that I wanted to show this to you guys, but not necessarily because of the actual argument, but more about the debate itself and the debate tactics. And I just feel like there's so much that I see in our own conversations, whether it's on our panels or in the Discord, that it just doesn't work. So if I could point it out to you guys while it's happening in other people, maybe I could help. Chester goes on to say, I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt, but now that I've heard it, I can't anymore. Yep. Well, we tried. I was the same way. We tried. That's all we can do. Like I said, I'm a libertarian for small government. I would love to get rid of government policing. I just don't know how the alternative would look. Definitely needs some policing. Exactly. So that is where we are in terms of aligning with Nick. That yes, the government is not good at anything, and that includes policing. But they seem to be, for at least that thing, it doesn't seem to be that the private sector right now has a better option. Nick seems to act like he does have one, but maybe he's scared to share it. Maybe he hasn't copyrighted it yet. Well, let's see.
But yeah, the police aren't going to solve every single crime. We all understand that. They respond to crime. They have some deterrent effect on some crime on the margins. But overall, effective policing can drive down the crime rate. This is what we see.
Wait, I have a question real quick. I have a question for Sean. Then we are definitely going to go to you, Nick. But this is a question related to New York City. But this is...
Again, if you are on somebody else's channel, don't fucking talk over them. I don't care what you have to say. If you're on my channel and I start talking, even like if we're in the Discord, whatever, that's not my channel. I mean, it is, but you know, but like up here is my house. And so for a dude on top, the moderator who's Nick is talking over, I'd be like, hey, you're out. I'm not playing this game. Ryan said, IQ has so much to do with crime, hence why Islam works with those countries. Simple laws, harsh consequences. Below 100 IQ, altruism as a concept can barely be grasped. I've never heard that before, but very interesting. Chester said, it's not true that to say that government isn't good at anything. Well, show me something they do well, and I'll change my mind.
Okay. About New York City, what I'm curious about, would you say that during Giuliani's administration, did the broken windows policy have a positive effect as far as making sure less crime occurred? What do you think, Sean?
Yes, 100%. But you have to understand like what broken windows is. Broken windows is this idea that environment impacts crime. So what broken windows policing is often chastised as is a zero tolerance model, which is not the case. Some people who try to replicate it without having any of the people behind the original program ended up enforcing it as a zero tolerance kind of policy. But the basic idea, and it's in the name, is that if a window is broken in a building and nobody fixes it, eventually all the windows in that building would be broken. And this is an analogy for people respond to their environment. If an area looks abandoned, like nobody's watching it, like nobody cares about it, people who are criminals who aren't going to care about the area will be drawn to there.
Right. So again, broken windows policy is based on the analogy that if you have a house with a broken window, eventually all the windows are going to be broken, as opposed to a house with no broken windows. Eventually something could happen, but way more likely is somebody going to be drawn to the one where there already is something awry. And similarly with crime and crime-ridden neighborhoods, you're not going to go into Martha's Vineyard and try to sling dope on the corner. But try it in Baltimore, you're good.
So broken windows try to address those kind of conditions, the quality of life crimes, in order to create a more positive environment, in order to drive down the serious violent crime rate by making sure that criminals don't have free reign to operate in large portions of the city. And
I'm flabbergasted at what Nick is ready to respond. He just can't wait. He's just bursting out of his skin because whatever is going on is so wrong. Like, what is he saying that's so wrong? He's saying things that are so not, like, he hasn't even made a point. He's just explaining what broken windows means.
And it definitely worked by the numbers. You can see the 90s decline.
Sean, what you're saying is historically false, and broken windows policing has already been rebuked. The original author and person who came up with the idea of broken windows policing even said that the police have abused that and have misused his original idea.
When did anybody say anything to the contrary? What he was explaining was what the concept means.
Broken windows policing is one of the reasons why we need to rein in the police force. They do not solve crime, like Sean admitted. Broken window policing is a way for them to enable regressive fines and fees on the working class. So, Sean, what good does it do the community if you had the cops literally writing tickets for someone having a broken tail light? Right?
I don't know. Maybe not getting into an accident because your taillights aren't working.
Right?
So, now, I'm not saying I want a ticket. Like, let me off with a warning, sure. But it's a stupid question. It's a stupid question. Byron said, what is right. Almost obvious. I don't know, man. You'd think so, but obviously not. But whether police or fire, I want trained, well-equipped, and supported people showing up to deal with it. Well, it's not that simple. It's not that simple because you have entire cohorts of people like Nick over here who are saying, oh, we don't need them. We don't need them. Send the social workers out. It's not obvious. At least not to everybody. It's not. That's exactly why this conversation is happening.
What the police do, they start harassing the populace, imposing regressive fines and fees, which make the community even more poor. And as I cannot emphasize this enough, you guys are not preventing, or you're not making these people safer. You guys are not stopping the crime. You guys don't even solve crime. You guys solve a very small amount of the crime and then pat yourself on the head when it's done.
Okay, so what is the solution?
You guys steal money using that, the broken window policing. That's unbelievable that you praise.
Still with the you guys.
It's unbelievable that you praise that. That is civil asset forfeiture. What is you? Police steal more money from us via civil asset forfeiture, using broken policing as a mechanism to do that. So the whole point of this conversation, at least the serious people, is to address public safety.
Exactly. Somebody's here like, he's just saying, no, that's bad.
Broken windows policing.
Yeah, so he's like, this dude votes. Like, come on.
And none of the neoliberal policing ideology that Sean advocate for kept us safe, which is why, even though it's been implemented for decades, we're still having this conversation about crime.
Hey, we got indie film in the building. Welcome, brother. What is good? Said policing for profit, collecting taxes, and at the end, policing for profit and collecting taxes at the end of a gun is the problem. So there absolutely is a middle ground where we're all saying that nobody's like licking the boots of cops and saying that cops are perfect and great and amazing and everything. All we're saying is that Nick here has gone way over to the other side and saying that we have no need for cops at all. Cops? What do you need a cop for? Cops don't even predict the future and stop crimes. Like, come on.
You guys
Welcome,
don't
buddy.
address the root cause.
Before Sean answers, I have a quick question, just like I had for Sean. I have a quick question for you, Nick. While the broken taillights, I can understand that
It's always like, Nick thinks broken windows policing is about broken taillights.
Somebody unfortunately gets into an accident, they have a broken taillight. What are you going to do? Let's take the example of somebody who decides to go and urinate somewhere where it's like very visible, just like out in the public, just whizzing away. Would that be some? But I'm just kidding. Hold on. Regardless of how often that is.
Now, this is I remember this part because I was, I almost screamed. I get so frustrated when people, you hear me say it all the time, people try to win an argument instead of having a conversation. And it so often comes up when you're trying to actually prove a point. You've seen that, okay, you're just presenting your ideas is not working. Okay, so let's back up. Let's find some common ground. Let's explain our ideas in a more precise way. And let's use analogies to do that so that we can all understand what we're talking about. And then we can move on. But then, well, that's hypothetical. Yes, I understand that's hypothetical. If you just have the conversation, trust me, we'll get there. Trust me, I'm going somewhere. I'm not just asking about random taillights because I feel like talking about taillights. That's not what we're doing here. Hey, we got just a cock in the fuckery in the building. Welcome, girl. How are you doing? Welcome. Said cops definitely need more training, but mental health support and to dissolve, but also mental health support and to dissolve the good old boy network. Yeah, I mean, absolutely, there are problems. Absolutely. I don't know if you can find anybody, even on the force, who's going to say that cops don't have problems, cops need more training, all of these things. But it just, Nick is just wrong. We got Energy Dom, Dahomter. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. Welcome to the party. Welcome. Yeah, AJW is awesome. And I'd had this debate on my playlist for a while. This is from this is 2 months ago. And I just got around to it this morning or yesterday. And I was like, ooh, great debate here in terms of how bad one of the debaters is. It's so bad that we can learn from it. So welcome to the party. Glad you are here. Let's get into it. Lee says, just consider traffic laws. We need police to push people to not drive intoxicated or 100 miles an hour down the freeway. Well, we need consequences. We don't necessarily need cops. That is what Nick's position should be. Is that while the order that Divine, I think it was Divine and Ra, somebody said there needs to be order. Absolutely. Law and order is I mean, it's necessary. There is no way you can have a civilized society without law and order. That doesn't mean that it's the government's law and order. I am dot Indian, not feather Indian. Just Cog says Nick clearly has some feels about the time he apparently got pulled over for busted taillights. I guess so. Like I said, we need to get rid of the doctors. We need to get rid of doctors. They do not prevent diseases. And if you go to the hospital for a cut, you come out with a staph infection from the hospital. Defund the hospitals. There you go. That's Nick's argument. That is Nick's argument.
And believe me, living around Brighton Beach in that area, that has happened quite a bit. If that happens, would you say that is something that...
So I back that up, man. Let's see what you got.
Public, body...
Oh, so you're I am all... What do they say? I don't know. That energy, I am with that. Defund the IRS. That, we could do it. But what the hell was I going to say? Oh, the hypothetical. So the hypothetical... I don't know why I can't talk today. The hypothetical is the guy is urinating in public.
Who decides to go and urinate somewhere where it's like very visible, just like out in the public, just whizzing away. Would that be some? But I'm just kidding. Hold on. Regardless of how often that is, and believe me, living around Brighton Beach in that area, that has happened quite a bit. If that happens, would you say that is something that is worth arresting?
Who wants to guess? Put a 1 in the chat if you think that he's actually going to ask the question, or excuse me, if he's going to answer the question, or if he's going to go off on some tangent. What he's been doing so far is just throwing out rapid fire all of the things that equal cop bad, bad cop, cop bad, and just saying a whole bunch of things and making sure that there's too much for Sean to actually have time to respond to anybody, to anything. So nobody thinks he's going to answer the question? Nobody. All right, I'm with you.
Somebody for publicly urinating out in the street.
Why do we need a fascist cop with a badge and a gun?
No, but you got to answer my question.
Your question.
Yeah.
No, you're not. You're asking another question.
Even if you don't like my answer, why do we need a cop to
See, that's a question.
pull over people for traffic violations? Why do we need cops?
I was asking.
Guys, we got 8 people in here, only 4 likes. Please, if you can hit that like button, that would be amazing. That is the biggest thing that helps these parties grow. Let's get it popping.
About urination, not traffic violations.
Why
So
would you
let's
need a
stick
cop
to
for
the.
that?
Okay, how would you no? How would you take
So why
care
would
of
you
that
cop for that?
situation? How would you take care of that situation if somebody is publicly urinating on my block? How would you take care of that situation? You personally, Nick, what would you do?
We do not need a police for that situation.
What would you do?
What's he gonna do? Tase them?
What would you do if you saw somebody
I'm answering your question, bro. I'm answering your question.
that was urinating on your doorstep? What would you do, Nick?
We apprehend them. We handle that ourselves in our community. That's the way it's supposed to be handled. We do not need occupiers in our community. We can govern ourselves.
Okay, and that it looks like. What are you talking about, bro? He said, who delivers the consequences? People who have authority to detain you. Call them what you want, but they will drive cars with bars in the back, lights on top, and a belt holding weapons. Yeah, I mean, that is absolutely true. And that, I mean, unfortunately, I don't see any other way around it. I don't see any other way around it. Whether it's the government who's doing this or it's private security who's doing this. Fact is, motherfuckers out here are trying to do what they're trying to do. So this idea that, oh, we're just going to apprehend them and then do what? Damn, really? One of you? Not one. Can Can I get one more like? Can I get one more like? Damn, I'm out here doing my thing. I know I can't talk today, but shit.
And this example is absurd. Like this belief, this opinion that you guys have of the working class that we all just bums, long arm piss.
So the question was, if somebody's urinating outside on your property, what would you do?
Around the streets. It's an absurd situation at hand. And if it does happen, we will have the community that will handle that. You don't need the police there.
How?
That would probably panic and that would end up tasing the guy.
Unlike, a civilian.
There's so many things like parking violations, a lot of things that the police did during broken windows policing that the police do not have to be involved in.
Okay, so the question was urination.
We could have, I don't advocate for this, I actually disagree with this, but there are a lot of avid listeners that believe in having traffic not being ran by the police. Why do you need a cop there if someone have a broken tail light? Why do you even need a cop if someone having a mental health crisis?
See, the mental health crisis, that's stupid, obviously, because if you have ever had any experience with anybody in a mental health crisis, you have no idea when that becomes something that's dangerous. But as he's saying, maybe, I don't know. I'm all teeth today. I don't know what is going on. But again, I'm not saying that the cops are the end all be all greatest thing. All I'm saying is that Nick is really bad at debate.
If someone urinating, you don't need that. A community can
all right, we're getting back to it. Okay. Look at that. And Nick is clearly a bum.
Handle ourselves. And we have historically, because it's
Oh, look at this comment up here. Someone says, so in white neighborhoods in the Deep South, they can do local community policing too?
new neoliberal model of policing is very new. Like you guys didn't have this until you need.
Is it
to implement the black codes. And so you guys need to implement new Jim Crow era politics. The police, as we know it, is a very new institution that you guys have never got correct.
All right, I gotta let Sean into this. Only thing I would say is that in the 70s, Nick, when you're talking about the community self-policing, that's what a lot of Jewish people were doing in Brighton Beach, and they did a really good job of that.
Yeah, and indie films on point. When seconds count, police are minutes away. Individuals need to take responsibility for themselves, families, neighbors, and neighborhoods. Absolutely. Absolutely. The more individuals who are capable of protecting themselves, the less need for this overarching power, whether it comes from the community or the state or anywhere else, is needed. And yeah, well, it came from Jim Crow. Like, okay.
But anyway,
there's so many studies that show that if we had the power in our communities, we would have much better outcomes. We would be in a much better position to handle that situation instead of a cop showing.
Yeah, look at these comments. So, anyone who got odds on Nick owning anything ever? So what you're saying, Nick, is lynch mobs come back. Nick advocates for vigilante justice. Like, bro, this is the if we were actually talk about that, the first thing you would bring up is lynching. That is the first thing that you would bring up.
On up, panicking and shooting the guy.
All right, well, on to Sean.
Okay, so there's like a lot that was said, so I'm gonna try to go through it like one by one. So first and foremost, a taillight is not incorporated under broken windows policing. Like again, this is what often happens.
That's on the books.
Is that this gets conflated with zero tolerance policing, and also the reason you get pulled over for having a taillight is because people need to see the lights on the back of your car to prevent accidents. So like that's why you would get pulled over for it. And the idea that you would have just like a random person deal with traffic vielations, we don't know.
Not a random person.
You're
not represent. I have to chime in because you're not representing.
Do you though?
My position correctly.
Okay,
you have a well-trained. The police are not trained. You got psychopaths who just join that position, that profession because they want to inflict violence on people.
Okay, so where are the better trained people, Nick? Where are the better trained people that are not being employed, that are not being sent out on these traffic stops? Oh, they don't exist. They don't exist.
So why not have a well-trained social program where you do traffic? We have traffic organization that do that. You don't need a police that do that. You don't need a police that that can handle homeless people. So do you want to try to address my comments? Actually,
I mean, many big city departments actually do have their own traffic division, but we don't know in advance which stops are going to be routine and which ones are going to be violent. You can watch video after video.
What's the percentage?
Wait, guys, we have to stop
There
blocking each other out here. So Sean, you have the floor. Then Nick, you can address his points, and let's keep everything. Yeah.
It's not about what percentage. It's the idea that you don't know which stop is going to go south and which isn't, which is why you have officers that are armed in all situations.
Exactly. And I think, well, so Kelly says, I think this dude doesn't want to get in trouble for committing crimes. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. Mike says, if we had someone arguing for the cops, like Nick is against them, we would push against those arguments too. Yeah, exactly. And I think Sean is going to bring up some stuff and already has brought up some stuff that I don't 100% agree with. But like, it hasn't come to a point where I need to stop this whole conversation to say that what Sean is saying is so wild and out there, because that's not what's happening. It's what Nick is saying. But the point that Sean is making here that is really important is not about what percentage of traffic stops turn into violent things. It could be 1%. It could be 0.0000001%. But every single traffic stop could potentially be that one. So you want to send Susie J, fresh out of college with her bachelor's degree, doing an internship for her social work, graduate degree. She's going in to stop people with their taillights out. Dude just doesn't care because he stole the car after murdering the owner. That's going to work out well.
In order to prevent them from being able to get caught off guard by a specific suspect. And it still happens even with the officer armed.
Exactly.
Secondly, this idea that policing comes from Jim Crow is just absurd. Our policing model comes from the United Kingdom. It was basically copied from the Scottish police, which ended up influencing the London police. And basically verbatim in the North, we have similar pieces of legislation that establish what are currently police departments. Sheriffs actually descend from the Shire Reef, which go back all the way to the year like 1073 in the UK, which are local officials that are elected, and our state police come from individual states that were created by the governor. So the idea that all of this is somehow
wait, Nick, you gotta let Sean finish. No, Nick, this is my stream, and we have to make sure that on my stream one person speaks at a time. So Sean, go for it, and then Nick.
So the idea that like police descend from Jim Crow when the first police departments came from the North is absurd. We have different origins from different styles of policing in the United States that are all distinct and have nothing to do with slavery. So like that's just not.
What was the role? Sorry, Liv.
Hey, we got No Freedoms in the building. Welcome, brother. Welcome. How are you doing? What do you mean? Slaves was in Britain. They were in Britain as well as everywhere around the world until Britain and then the U.S. Stopped. Yes, you are correct. Mike says, I remember so many Democrat governors yelling for defund the police until crime went up. And then they said, and then they're saying that they didn't say it. That's politics 101.
Like, this conversation is not productive.
No.
Finally, we all agree with Nick. This conversation is not productive. This conversation is, because we're picking about that, but that conversation is not productive.
It
Yes,
is.
like, we
It
gotta
is
do our
productive. You guys have to.
conversation.
You guys have to take it one step at a time. Sean speaks, then you speak, and it's okay. It's all right for that kind of a style to be enacted here. You don't have to interrupt all the time, Nick. So now, Nick, go for it. Let me know. Let me know all the fire that's inside your belly.
In the North, in Boston, the original police was essentially like a night watch. That was more like purity police that pretty much police whether people was being pure in their marriages, whether people was performing homosexual acts, whether people was drunk and violent. I said earlier, the police as we know it has never existed. And now when you had the South, that police.
The police as we know it never existed. Then how do we know it? Do you see what happens when you are not careful with the words that you use? Well, now I can't say you say stupid shit after I just say you stay stupid shit.
Police developed from the Jim Crow law and the Black Codes and slave patrol. So yes, you brought up a lot of policing in other different countries. My criticism.
Great comment here. Oh, let me catch it from on the screen. Road rage is a prime example of why self-policing is a horrible idea.
They have a different role in other countries. Police in this country serve to protect capital and uphold racial hierarchies, as they always was done in what they did. How do you think people got away with lynching in the Jim Crow era, Sean? You have police that work in coordination with white supremacist groups to help catch black people that they went to lynch. There's never been this.
This is exactly what you're proposing, Nick. This is exactly what you're proposing.
Golden era policing that's like in the United States, that's just completely made up. In other societies that spend a significantly less amount in their budget on policing than we do, police have a completely different role. They're not here to implement broken windows policing and implement a fascist regime in your community. They're here to actually serve the people. None of the things that the police do in our everyday community when they impose regressive fines are here to actually protect us, as was laid out by their original creed and critics. That wasn't what they are designed to do. The United States Supreme Court even ruled that the police are not obligated to protect you. That is not their role. So this fairy tale of policing that Sean and these people keep painting is false. This is not a movie. They're not here to protect us. And it's a complete waste of resources when you look at how much money that we actually spend, despite the fact that crime is up.
Yeah, so
another great reason of why it won't work, if you guys aren't familiar, cart narcs. Cart narcs. If you're not familiar, it's a guy who wears a vest and a GoPro, and he goes to different parking lots around the world and just patrols and sees if people will put back their shopping carts. Why? Because that is the perfect example of altruism. Sans the cart narc. If you go into the store and you just leave your cart out, nobody's going to punish you for it. And equally, if you put it back to the cart return, nobody's going to pat you on the back. Nobody's going to say you did a good job. But there's two types of people in this world. There's the people who will put the cart back every time, and there's the people who won't. In fact, you know what? Let's take a peek at that. Type of 1 in the chat if you don't know, if you've never seen cart narcs. Let's just get a good. I mean, they're short things, so we can. Why not? All right, let's just go to their most popular one. Videos popular. Wait. It's worth it, and it's fun. It's fun. All right, let's just do this.
No.
All right, so do I need a poll on carts? I think yeah, I think everybody here knows, but why not, right? Why not? And this is one of the only channels, you guys know, I love everything at 2 times speed. This is one of the very, very, very few channels. Well, I would slow it down to 1.5 because I just love it so much. So real quick, let's make it their own banner. Side note. Cart narcs. All right. Narketeers.
This free-spirited young lady, I believe, is doing the thing that we always see when people park at the very far end of the parking lot, is they want all the space, but they also don't want to take the walk back. Oh, she's closing her door even. Please keep really deep camera here with cart narcs. That's not where the carts go. That's not where the carts go.
No, but there are people, they pay people.
Okay, man. Let me explain. We hear this all the time.
Oh, listen, buddy, listen. I get what you're saying.
Thank you.
I get what you're saying, but
But
there's no, I don't really give.
Oh, you don't care?
No, Because they pay people.
Well, now, ma'am, when you go to the...
Go up and collect them.
Sure.
I got a kid that I gotta get back.
Oh, is there a kid starving to death or something?
No, but no.
They also pay you pee on the seat when you use a public restroom. They pay people to clean
What's
it.
that shit up? That's disgusting.
That's the same idea. Ah, gotcha. The carts are my life. That's why. And don't listen to music while you're in your car. That's not safe, and it's against I was about to say FAA regulations, DMV regulations. Not supposed to. Oh, what's she doing? She's taking. That's a bumper. Oh no, now you're littering. Don't be a litter bug. I'll put one in the back of your car here for you. Madam.
Knock it off right now.
Now,
I mean it.
I will if you take your cart back. Would you like to do that for me?
Knock it off.
Knock what off? Be a responsible person?
My stuff.
That's okay for you. She's got her phone number on you.
Don't bother me right now. I mean it.
But you're bothering people by blocking the spot. You understand the correlation, madam?
You're starting this shit. Back the fuck off.
You started that with your cart, ma'am. All I did was ask you.
What they pay people for.
But ma'am, what's your
Leave me the fuck alone. I mean it.
Okay,
Leave me.
I got more.
Get the fuck away from
That's
me.
what you do. You're blocking the spot now.
You're starting shit.
Ma'am, you started the poop
Do
with your.
not get anywhere near me.
How about this?
Stop. Stop.
You want to have a conversation, be civil, or do you want to yell like a
Do
big old
not
sourpuss?
touch me.
I didn't touch you. I never have.
You're touching my shit.
If
Stop.
someone else is going to touch you with your cart when they try to pull in there.
Stop.
Get away!
Sir, did you see her what she did with her cart?
Get out of there!
See, now you're overreacting. You're falling for her tricks. They give you one right there.
What the fuck are you talking about?
That's what I'm talking about. It's the carts.
Stop it.
Madam, look
Leave
at
me the fuck alone.
Madam, why are you
Leave me
reacting this way?
alone.
Why are you not
Leave me alone.
why are you not
What's wrong
addressing
with
the
my life?
situation with the cart? You make it hard.
Don't come near me again.
I'm not coming near you.
Do not come near my car.
What about the cart?
I don't give, dude. They fucking pay people.
I told you
Leave
the
me
analogy.
alone.
Do you throw trash on the ground because they pay people to pick that up too?
No, they do pay people to pick it up.
Then what are garbage men for?
Shut the fuck up and leave you. Get
Madam,
away from me.
Madam, I'm not okay. Tell you what, I will leave you alone if you want to take the cart back.
Stay away from me.
Madam, you're blocking traffic again.
No,
You're...
do not come near my fucking car.
Why are you so angry?
Because you won't leave me alone.
Yeah, I will leave you alone.
That shit.
I will leave you alone if you take your cart back. How about that?
You don't work for these fucking people.
What does that make?
Leave me alone.
Madam, what difference does that make?
I don't.
It's the principle.
Do not come. Get the fuck away from me.
Why are you screaming at me? I'm being a nice guy. It's a magnet. It's got our bumper magnet so they didn't turn my shopping cart like a jerk.
Facts, just a cog. Nothing makes people flip out quite like taking accountability.
Why are you antagonizing
I'm not
me?
antagonizing you, ma'am. I'm trying to get you to react. What's going on here?
Get the fuck away from me.
What are you doing in your car?
Said, oh, what's going on here? I know sometimes they'll like chase him. This dude is fast. He is fast, and he gets the shot. He'll run backwards. This dude must be in shape.
I'm gonna fucking hurt you in 2 seconds.
That's against the law, ma'am.
What you're doing?
Yo, hit the poll, guys, because I do, I mean, this one we have most of this, this is at the top, but sometimes I try to, fit it with the banners and the comments and stuff. So if I throw it at the top, it's easier. But if you guys prefer it at the bottom, whatever.
You're harassing me.
What I'm doing is being a public.
Hey, we got Jay Supreme in the building. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How are you? We are just taking a quick side note for those who are not familiar with the cart narcs and talking about altruism and how taking your cart back and putting it in the cart return is the perfect example of altruism, because nobody's going to give you shit if you don't, well, except for this guy, and nobody's going to pat you on the back if you do.
Public service
It'll tie in when we get back to the conversation.
and helping you learn your lesson. You're being a big old.
Got your point.
No, but I would have my point if you would take your cart back. See, what you're doing is she's doing a classic thing by overreacting. By overreacting, what you're doing is trying to make yourself into the victim. Whenever the cart's the victim. Thank you. Please knock at her. She's being a.
Stop.
All right, because you're causing a public safety nuisance. I will stop.
I'm about to call the cops. No.
Let me explain. You don't know the whole story.
No.
Yes, you do. How do you know?
I don't care.
Yes, you do need to care. Because
I don't care. I'm a random person.
Exactly.
People have to go.
that's why I'm
No.
stopping. That's why I'm stopping.
Okay.
Because she's
People
causing.
have to go.
I understand
Stop.
that. I understand
I
that.
don't give a fuck.
Madam,
Don't give a
this is the
fuck.
problem,
I
is you don't want to hear and have a conversation. You just want to yell and scream and be a sourpuss again. If I am cart narketeers, you might say, oh, what's he doing? I'm acting responsible. You know who's acting the fool? The person who left their card out. That's who's acting the fool. Sorry, I had to set her straight. Autistic, ma'am. First off, it sounds like you're using that word as an insult, number one.
No, I'm not, because my niece, I have family who's autistic.
And are they fans? I'm a fan of law and order.
That's mentally disabled.
Ma'am, people leave their cards out are mentally disabled, and also I feel like you're still trying to use that as an insult. Anyway, now you're being sarcastic.
Saying that people who leave their cards out. Because, I worked in a grocery store.
So did I, yes.
They pay people.
Okay, ma'am, that's the same. Yeah, they also pay people to pick up trash. Do you litter?
No.
Do you pee on the seat because they hire maids to clean up after you? When you use a hotel room, do you trash the hotel room? They hire maids to pick up after you.
That's totally different.
Those are exactly similar analogies. Those are people who are paid to clean up after you. Do you want to make their job harder? Ma'am, that's the most ironic thing you possibly could have said right now.
I don't know.
Because I'm giving.
Hunting Edge, welcome to the party. We don't really talk like that over here. We can get pretty wild. I don't mind that, but obviously I can't put that up on screen. So just keep it a little, PG-13.
Excellent analogies about other people who are paid. Do you tell when your kid messes up his room? Do you say, "Oh, you're the parents. You pay the mortgage, so you can clean up after me. It's your mess now. Pick up after yourself is all we're asking. They have the cart returns for a reason. Thank you. They should do it. Yes. Thank you.
I said they should do.
Should do what?
They have cart returns.
Yes, that's right. And they shouldn't leave them blocking spots. That's what I'm saying.
And I grabbed it and used it, and it was really convenient.
Oh, is it convenient to not be able to open your door, ma'am, and to have your door dinged and scratched? How convenient was that? I did not answer that. All right, I'm getting out of here. Agent Cameron out.
So that is the Cart Narcs. If you are not familiar, go subscribe they are amazing. Like I said, I watch everything at 2 times speed and slow every one of those videos down to 1.5 because it is just so much fun. So the point is that let's back this up a little bit and see exactly what the relevance was. And it's not because I completely forgot. It's because I want you guys
Police
to remember.
are not obligated to protect you. That is not their role. So this fairy tale of policing that
Oh yeah, it is because I forgot. It's because we're talking about community policing, and someone's bringing about how Black Friday is not a good example of this. Cart narcs are a good example of this, and just road rage in general. Yeah, he just got skiddly wee. He's got like a whole. Yo, check them out. There is awesome. Come on, Haunting Edge. Yeah, I mean, why would you do that? Why do you want to do that? What if you were? How do you know that tomorrow you're not going to become handicapped? Heaven forbid. I'm not saying I hope that happens. I hope that doesn't happen to anybody. But you don't know that's not going to happen. And then you're going to be forced to park further away. And then you'd be like, fuck, I wish I would have put all those goddamn carts away. Or not. I mean, like we say, it's the perfect example because people like Hunting Edge, nobody's going to punish them. Nobody's going to punish them. People like that lady, nobody's going to punish them. You just get to be a piece of shit if you want to be a piece of shit. But if you want to be a good person, you can do that too. And nobody's going to pay you to be a good person. Nobody's going to pat you on the back. You do the right thing because it's the right thing.
Sean and these people keep painting is false. This is not a movie. They're not
I disagree.
here to protect us. And it's a complete waste of resources when you look at how much money that we actually spend, despite the fact that crime is up.
Yeah. So again, it's just not true that police came from.
Well, see, but Hunting Edge, this is the point. Shouldn't it be don't kill somebody over a cart? Why are we now saying that the cart narc guy is doing something wrong? And if you're saying not only, hey, he should be careful because somebody might, but you said you hope. All of you guys are on YouTube, so you can't see his thing, and I don't really want to put that up on screen. But he said, I hopes somebody pews and ends cart narcs. Standing behind it. So it's not about play stupid games and win stupid prizes. It's you are one of these people that would get caught, would go viral, would be embarrassed, and you hope that it doesn't happen. And the only thing you can think of is to wish death upon another person. So you must be fun at parties. Speaking of which, Divine Rod is always fun at my parties. That was pure gold, and I'm guilty of leaving 2 carts at Lowe's today. How dare you? Never again in fear of the cart narc. I do like that, but it shouldn't be about the cart narc, friend. It should be because it's the right thing to do. Are you fat? Are you disabled? Just do it. Do you ever have a job where it's your job to do shit, but it's like, oh, word, somebody like help me out. Whether you're working in retail and somebody brought up the wrong thing and like, oh, I wanted the other one. Instead of just leaving it there, they're like, oh, no, I'll put it back. It's like, oh, that is my job. But like, thank you, no freedoms. So Hunting Edge says, you fighting a fight that isn't a fight. But when you have your car damaged by a cart and then Walmart or Target or Kmart or whatever has to raise their prices because now they have a certain number of cars that they have to fix every year and you have to pay more. I think it's a fight worth fighting, especially when we're at 13% inflation and rising. That's you, homie. That's you. Good for you. You got legs. What about the people who don't?
Slave patrols. Most police departments in the South were established during Reconstruction. The idea that pre-Civil War slave patrols somehow evolved into police departments, and that those police departments
Nick,
you got to stop interrupting.
And you could see.
So at least Hunting Edge, I can't put this one up either. But no freedoms. You got a YouTube friend over here who says ending 80% of mankind, according to No Freedoms, is the right thing to do. So I'm only gonna read that once, just because you got a cohort here. So maybe you guys want to meet each other up, or if you want to come on over to YouTube, Hunting Edge, you guys could have a grand old time. But
photos of those police departments' inaugural classes loaded up with Black people because it was during Reconstruction that they were established. Doesn't make any sense. For the most part, policing started in the North. Yes, you have a constable system, which works more as a Night's Watch system, but most of this was duplicated from England. And in England, they weren't worried about the Fugitive Slave Act or anything like that. Again,
real quick, and I don't want to spend too much time on this, but Huntington, let me ask you a question. Who do you think is putting themselves more in danger? The President of the United States or cart narcs?
Right. And it's just not factually based that this is where policing originates
Now,
from. The Southern police departments that were in slave territories were established during Reconstruction, which was specifically not about reinstituting slavery. You're just making stuff up.
Now compare how much we spend in our policing compared to the UK. You keep saying that we base our police model off the UK.
Yeah,
like our policing is way more authoritarian. We imprison 1/4 of the world's prison population.
Nick, I want to make sure
more than other countries' military. So
guys, I hope you're enjoying this, and I'm glad that you're here. I need to get those likes up, please. That is so huge to growing the channel. If you could do that, it's so quick. Just and we're done. Please, thank you.
I'm rejecting your premise.
Wait. But for a change, Nick, here's what I want to do. Sean laid out what he considers to be the truth. If you disagree with something that Sean said right now about the historical.
All right. So Hunting says it's invalid because the president and cart narcs don't compare. This is exactly what I'm talking about with Nick, unable to answer a hypothetical question. I didn't ask you if they compare. I asked you a question about whether you think it is more likely that the president dies doing for his job or that the cart narcs died for doing their job. That was the question. I didn't ask if they compare as jobs. I asked you if which job is more likely to get them killed. Mike says, who cares what the police department used to be? It matters what they are now. Yeah, exactly.
Accuracy, just pick something from what Sean said and say, okay, this is not true because so on and so forth. So that way we could just focus on a particular thing instead of just like going all over the place. So what did Sean say that you would disagree with as far as historical accuracy goes?
In terms of historical accuracy, the policing as we know it have not existed into the modern neoliberal.
Okay, so how many assassinated presidents have there been? And how many assassinated cart narcs have there been?
U.S. construction of it. When you look at public safety, as I mentioned, he brought up the policing in the North that started as a watch group that was essentially a purity police. Before this neoliberal policing era, you had communities that dealt with this. We did not have occupiers that was funded to gigantic
occupiers
as essentially a hostile military. We need to go back to the old.
No, Hunting, this is the whole point of the whole goddamn thing. The instigation is leaving the cart out. That is the point. The point is the initiation, as the girl in the brown truck eventually realized when the other girl was blocking traffic and the girl in the truck was yelling out. She's like, I don't care. Dude eventually explained to her the situation. And she's like, oh, yeah, you're right. That she started it by putting her cart in a position where either it's going to cost all of us more money or it's going to run into somebody else's car and cause them to money. Or if it's you, okay, all right, you win.
Old school model where communities are in charge of public safety. That would be a more efficient way of doing things because that is not how historically the societies have done it. Like this is a new era of prison and police state that Sean and his people try to normalize. This whole thing started because the black holes. Many historians have talked about this. The black holes spawned into other police departments, and a lot of people who got into police positions came from the people who was originally the slave catchers, the night patrols in the North, eventually scattered to become police departments that ran away from their original mandate of serving the people. That is the argument that we are making. The police no longer serve the people. They are now.
Guys, come on, one more like, please. One of you. I know one of you are here, and you're not hitting the like button. Just hit it. Just hit it. Come on. What are you waiting for?
Intrusive. They steal money and resources.
I'm not gonna be a dick and stop the show.
You guys will even
some people will.
They do not stop, solve, or prevent serious crimes. And we are in this crime wave. And you guys have been proven incorrect in your method and approach to this issue over and over again.
Sean.
Yeah. So again, the reason why we don't have just like a town community-based policing is because there are highly densely populated urban areas, and that led to the professionalization of policing. You can't really, in a neighborhood where there's like 30 people, you can designate one guy to look out for everybody. But in a city of 8.4 million, you kind of need the largest police department in the world. Now, like, I mean, you can say that, oh, it started out as morality police in the North. Well, the Southern police departments were copied from Northern models during the course of Reconstruction. So already right there, you're acknowledging that it had nothing to do with slave patrols in their origins. Now, you're going to backpedal out of that, which is fine. I mean, it's what we can expect. But in terms of the prison population of the United States has the highest rates of violent crime of any Western nation, like overall throughout the history of the country. So because of that, we're going to have a high incarcerated population. And most of the people that are incarcerated in the United States of America are not there because they got tripped up by an evil racist cop or anything like that. They're incarcerated because they're violent repeat offenders. I mean, you could look at the recidivism rates. You could look at the violence in prison when they're behind bars.
I was gonna ask before. I thought we had gotten past it because they had, like, you know, they brought it down a little. I was gonna ask before Sean started talking if Nick was gonna let him finish, but I was like, no, probably we're past that. But whoops.
The recidivism rate just proves your theory that you guys are keeping people safe because you lock these people up and then they get out and they commit more crimes. In comparison to other countries that do not have that model, and they can reduce recidivism.
Tell me you don't understand what recidivism is without telling me that you don't understand what recidivism is.
Also, considering the fact that the United States is one of the only Western powers without a healthcare system, we have insane amount of homeless. As I mentioned before, you guys
just throwing stuff at the wall. This is bad. 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 Now your turn. Okay, so here's one point that I want you to respond to. Well, that's bad, and that's bad, and that's bad, and that's bad, and socialism, yeah! This is what, I mean, what, how does this guy have followers? And I can't even keep 10 motherfuckers in here at the same goddamn time. Can't even get you guys to hit the goddamn like button. Shit. And this guy's on the fucking, Mike says, if you want to support his channel, just give it a like button. Doesn't cost you a thing, but it helps the Indian Jesus. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much, Mike. It definitely does, but I guess, you know, just hang out. That's all right. That's fine.
Say stuff like United States is the most violent country. Why, Sean? It's almost like a culture of violent policing and violent neoliberalism produces a violent society. So you keep rejecting the idea that policing had white supremacist origins, despite the fact that it's well documented that police forces, as I mentioned before, coordinated with the KKK and other white supremacist groups and were complicit with lynching.
Well, Nick, I just want to make sure that you address Sean's point. Sean had a very specific point when he was talking about how in an urban setting, there's just way too many people going in, going out. And just because of the nature of how big our cities are, that's why it's technically not feasible to do what you are proposing. If you disagree with that, please let us know why.
That's why in 10 Demands, we have a very detailed program on how we're going to reach a road to abolition.
Okay. What's in that program? That is what I'm asking you. That's what everybody wants to know. Hey, we got Ariana in the building. What is good? What is good? So why don't you talk about a huge mass gathering of veterans all over the U.S. that's starting militias and also the debt limit by tomorrow, because I don't know what the fuck that is. So maybe you should talk about it after that is. Welcome to the party.
Now, it's going to be quite a road, but we need to reduce
no, but Nick, that's not answering the question.
No, it is.
You're talking about abolition, but I'm asking specifically.
Is it
how would you structure the defense system of the city? The defense system of the city that you are proposing, Nick, how would you structure it so that it would address Sean's point about the city just having way too many people going in and out, that it's going to be very difficult to do so?
For one, we wouldn't run a city that took 50 to 80% of the budget and put into police. So we want to build a system that addresses people's material needs, put their resources to clean up the city. The reason why the city is dumb because, once again, that is the resources that have been siphoned by our inefficient.
Nick, I'm really sorry, but that is besides the point. Those are very important and great things that they can be done. I'm talking about specifically people like, let's say you, Nick. Let's say you are leading a troop of people.
Okay, so now we're getting a new hypothetical situation. So it starts out, Nick. Let's say you are leading a troop of. So let's get the hypothetical so that we all understand it. We're all on the same page. What is the hypothetical? Nick's leading a troop.
People who are going to be making sure that crime is not happening in their area.
So Nick is leading the troops of people who are going to make sure that crime is not happening in their area.
Sean was just saying.
Then go away.
That is going to be extremely hard to do given the amount of people.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot that I forced you to be here. Oh, no! Oh, wait, yeah, you can just go the fuck away. I don't know who you are, and I don't care that you're here. I don't want you here, so get the fuck away.
That are within the city going in and out. If you disagree with that, tell us how strategically you would be able to defend said community. That's all that we are trying to find out.
This is a complicated issue. Abolitionists want to leave it up to the communities. You guys are sending police that don't even live in.
Yeah, and that's why I'm asking you about the community.
And that's what I'm saying. I'm saying we leave it up to the community.
Yeah, and how?
And doing what? What is it that the community is doing? If they're not going to be arresting people, if they're not going to be, before he used the word apprehend, what does that mean? How is that different than what the cops do? What is it that you do here? Oh, Prince says, you forced me to be here once I saw a Jesus cat. No, I have my ways. I have my ways.
How would the community do it? How would the community do
the
it?
community the resources. That is what I'm saying. Like, do you not?
Which resources? Used how? You are not saying anything. You are just saying things.
Understand the answer?
No, I don't, because
No, none of us do, Nick. That is the problem. And that's not our problem. That is your problem because everybody here speaks English. You're the only one who's using English words, but ain't saying shit. Kelly says, Nick's arguments are like watching a baseball player get caught in a pickle between two bases when he tries to steal it. The other guy's like, hey, we're coming. He's like, nope, just kidding this way. Nope, just kidding this way. That's a good one. That's a good one. I like that a lot. I'm stealing that. Nick is in charge. His answer is leave it to the community. Leave what to the community? That's what we want to know. I'm all for leaving it to the community. What is it? What is it? I'm all about the community. What is it? That's what I'm trying to determine. That's what everybody on watching this, including the two guys on screen that we are watching, are trying to figure out.
So if you're talking about healthcare, hold on. If you're talking about healthcare, education, great, beautiful. I'm talking about literally you with a gun or with whatever defending the community. How would that physically happen? Because that was Sean's...
Why do we do this in real life? We don't need superheroes on the street with a cop and a gun and a badge. And we already explained before.
This is what I mean. When people are unable to grasp how hypotheticals are relevant to a conversation, and even if you don't understand how it's relevant to the conversation, just to give the person, just to humor the person and say, okay, well, I'll answer your question. I don't really see where you're going with this, but if I were leading a troop of people preventing crime, I would do X, Y, and Z. Now, how is that relevant to what we're saying? The whole argument is word salad. Both sides. I mean, it's really hard to. I mean, I disagree because Sean is putting out clear statistics, clear points, and Nick's just not addressing them. I mean, yeah, yeah. That's me. I got plenty. I don't need you.
No, forget that. Forget cops. No more cops. No more cops. I'm talking about you, Nick, leading your own wonderful community organization, defending your community. No more cops. The cops are history. It's not, because this is a very specific point.
Safety and crime.
All right, I want Sean.
If I am answering your question, because if I was in charge, and that's what you're asking, like,
yes,
I don't understand. Like, you want me to be the solo person? We talking about if I was in charge.
Yeah, you're leading a group.
Not have this fascist police force that do not solve crime. That I don't know what you guys think they're doing. They just harassing marijuana users and
that's all cops do. And I've been arrested for weed 3 times.
Imposing
no, but Nick, please let's stay focused.
I want to do.
Yes.
What
yes.
I don't understand your question. I don't know why.
I will say the question one more time
because I'm telling you guys the vision I want. The vision I want.
And I want to narrow in on that vision, Nick. I'm trying to help you out here. Okay, so in your vision, and Sean, I'm going to get back to you soon as well. Okay, but no, let me finish, please, Sean. Let me finish. Nick, let me finish. So in your vision, you were saying no need for cops. Let the community handle itself when it comes to self-defense, right? Right. So if you are the leader of this,
I am stealing that tactic. I am stealing that tactic. Because he's just, not answering anything. So notice what the moderator here did to get his point across.
So in your vision.
Usually I'll ask questions to try to establish something. And then I'll try to let the other person answer, and then they go off on another tangent. So, hey, we agree. Good luck with that.
You were saying no need for cops. Let the community handle itself when it comes to self-defense, right? Right. So if
I am stealing that,
if you are the leader of this, let's say, community group that's helping defend your community, how would you physically do it given Sean's apprehension in terms of how big a city is for something like that to be done? That's the only thing that I want to know here.
I would leave it to the community. We would use the resources and we would do what's best for the people, and we would make sure that the crime would be over.
Once again, in my vision, we do not need a fascist police force running around because that's.
So what do you need?
Sean and you guys admit, they are not there at the scene of the crime. What are you even asking? Are we going to be there to stop murders? They are not there to stop murders now. Well,
Yes.
This is the problem. This is a red flag. When somebody can't just, again, use a hypothetical and just answer the hypothetical even though they don't get it, they're too dumb to have a conversation. They are too dumb to have a conversation, because the only reason you're using these analogies is because putting your point out the way that it actually is according to the actual subject or whatever you're talking about, they didn't get it. So we're trying to talk about, okay, let's make this very unique, specific situation so we can isolate one aspect and one variable. So we know that part, and we can find common ground there and then build off of there. And they can't even do that.
So are you going to be there to stop murders?
So what?
Are you and the other group of
Facts, Mike. That is a great point. That is a great point. I do kind of give them shit, because the first time, like, they definitely easily could have let me go because they raided my house for my roommate who was selling, and they just went in my room and I had some shit there. But I broke the law. I broke the law. Great point, Mike. Thank you for bringing that up.
people that you are going to be with who are the defenders of your community, not cops. Are you going to be there to stop murders?
Why are we talking about this hypothetical?
Because it's very...
That is the red flag. Why are we talking about this hypothetical? Does it matter? Just answer the question. We're having a conversation. Answer the question and you will get there. Stop trying to win the argument and just have the conversation. That's it. That's it. It's so easy. It's so easy. David Manor said, I blame them. You just said it. They found, or they could have let you go, but no, more arrests means more money. But the fact is, the rules are the rules. And I decided that fuck these rules. I don't care about these rules. I'm going to take the choice to risk the trouble that I'm going to get in if I get caught. So I got caught. There was consequences. I was sure as shit mad about it, but I wasn't like, how dare they? I was like, fuck them. They really could have. But, you know, I mean, it is what it is. Because sometimes they are there at the crime. That's a total, yeah. Sometimes they are there, and very often they do 100% prevent a crime. They prevent people from dying. They prevent things from getting stolen. And I mean, I don't know if Nick would accept this, but especially in cases of theft, if they find the stolen shit, I mean, I think that would be a case solved. Even though they were not there to prevent the crime, you still got your shit back. Now, I know that doesn't happen that often, but I'm just saying, conceptually. David said, I know you broke the law, but that law is junk to begin with. Well, now we got recreational in Jersey, so I don't have to worry about it ever again. But I mean, both of you guys are correct. Both of you guys are correct. 100%. Freedom says, well, some communities have their own police department. Yeah, but they're from the state. They're not like community. I mean, they might have community-based like groups, but I don't know if there's any towns in America that have no cops that are in their jurisdiction. Are there? So some communities have their own police departments. Some black places. What are black places? You mean places that have a lot of black people? Some black places, as No Freedom says, need their own department than some others. I also blame cops and the law. Cops can pick and choose what to do. Yeah, I mean, again, this is not a bootlicking session. This is like, no, only when I do. This is true. It's true. It's just that there's nuance, and Nick has none. Mike said, we don't need to blame the cops. We need to change the laws. Exactly.
Very important, because Sean's point.
Listen. Okay. The onus is not on me. This discussion is about crime and public safety in the crime rise right now. So why am I being grilled? Whose idea?
Because you're not answering the question.
Have been
Point out a question that Sean didn't answer, and we'll figure out why we need to grill him. Oh, you can't.
Implemented. Sean's ideas have been implemented. So why am I being grilled?
Because I want to hear your ideas. Because I want to hear your ideas.
Sean, we already tried your model, and crime is up.
So I'm asking you what the solution is.
I don't even understand the line of
question. All right,
Sean. Crime is up post the George Floyd riots and criminal justice reforms, which you would probably likely be in favor of. Maybe
Democrat Mayor Simpson's increasing
and all that. I want to get into lynchings because you brought it up.
No. Wait. Lev.
I love that reaction. Can we just watch that one more time? No. I don't want to talk about lynching. Just
Maybe
Democratic mayor Simpkins increased the
and all
police
that.
budget. See,
I want to get into
lying.
lynchings because you brought it up.
No.
Fantastic point. I didn't read it through, but the irony about self-policing argument is that white people don't self-police their neighborhoods like other groups do. Gangs were originally started to look after people in their communities. Fucking bars, girl. Fucking bars. This is a great comment. I never even thought of that. But still, coming back to what No Freedoms was saying, I think again, you're 100% correct. But I don't think that there is anywhere where the gangs, or maybe in the past the mafia or or whatever, they're really the ones that are keeping shit together. And it's, before we were asking, there needs to be some order. Whose order? Maybe it was their order, but there was still a police department that it was in their jurisdiction. So, I mean, but bars, fucking bars. Yeah. Mike says the problem is pot is legal. If we make it, the problem is that pot is illegal. If we make it legal, the cops can't arrest. Yep. David Banner says crime is up is a favorite line by these guys, but it's statistically proven that year after year, decade after decade, violent crime and gun crimes has been down, except between 2019 and 2021. We had a big bump, and then it's been going down. Overall, it's been going down since the 70s. There's obviously it's not a complete direct straight line. There's a little jaggedness, but the I have actually yes, very regularly. Just yesterday. Would you like to see my Cash App? I love these people that think they're like so cool, and it's like, bro, you're in some random person's YouTube chat, like you're a real person. I don't care enough about you. Yeah. So the point is that's the point, is that crime has been going down in general, but there was a huge spike in a small context because of the fact that these policies of defund the police came down. That's the whole point. More like 100, but
No. Wait. Lev, you need to propose the same question to Sean, because I don't understand how this debate, how the onus was on me when our policies was never implemented.
Because you're not answering the questions.
Democratic mayors, and I have covered this on RBN, despite the narrative coming from the right, Democratic mayors have increased the police budget. If Eric Adams,
all right, Nick, let me respond.
Lev, please
Okay.
let me finish.
Okay.
Eric Adams in New York increased the police budget, has a pro-police approach. So when Sean say, "Oh, the Democrats came in, they have a progressive agenda," that is false. The LAPD, that is run by Democrats. They are criminals. The Baltimore Police Department.
What does that say? I can't read. What does that say? What's that say? $1, right? Oh, wait!
Ran by Democrats, that's criminal. Sean just keeps saying false things over and over and over again. The premise is false. So Lev,
who wants to tell her? Who wants to tell her I have a full-time job? Oh, no!
Instead of grilling me, why aren't you grilling Sean when his ideas have been implemented already, and there is a crime wave? He keeps saying that
time out. You need a spanking, young lady. You need a spanking, and you need to learn from what you've done. And the sad thing is, I thought you had the I don't even know what you would call it. I thought you had the I don't know, self-respect to leave after I told you to fuck off because nobody cares about who you are, and you're still here. And I'm going to time you out for 5 minutes, and I know that you're still going to sit there and say shit when you come back.
Need progressive reforms. That is not true. If you look at red states, crime is up there too. And you look at the overall trend, crime is down.
All right, Nick.
Right, but David, that is an outlier. But the point is, the outlier is directly relevant to policies that this guy is pushing. That's why it's relevant. You are 100% correct. You are 100% correct. But Nick is the one arguing against that this is the cause of that. Sean would easily say that since the 70s, it's been like almost a complete slope down. Yeah. That's all. We're all. It's not. That's why, again, when I told you guys why I wanted to show you this is because of the actual debate itself, or the way the debate is playing out, not necessarily the debate itself.
I think there was a miscommunication. I think there was a
I'll answer the question.
Yes.
So in the state of New York, when I say democratic or left-leaning criminal justice policies are implemented, I'm talking about the fact that they released 2,000 people early on due to the fact that they reformed bail, which kicked into effect January 1st of 2020. The bail reform law lists a bunch of crimes where you can no longer be held in jail, period, and you get a same-day automatic release. This led to more people being let out of jail. After the George Floyd riots, 7 different pieces of criminal justice reform legislation were passed at the state level in New York State, including Raise the Age, which treats people under the age of 18 incredibly soft in comparison to the previous law. So it's way more difficult to charge somebody who's 16 who commits a violent crime as...
Sorry, I'm just thinking about the fact that in 2 seconds, I somehow created a fake donation. Like, yeah, that's easy to do.
As an adult than it was before. Another piece of legislation that was passed during the wake of the George Floyd riots was the less is more law, which basically incentivizes probation and parole officers to not violate people's parole. And this led to absurd circumstances like a guy up in Uptown Manhattan who sucker punched somebody in the middle of the night on video. The guy ended up needing emergency brain surgery. This guy was on parole for life because he had previously pointed a gun at a minor and raped her. And he didn't get his parole violated because of the less is more statute. In fact, it was so shameful that Governor Kathy Hochul, because she was running for governor, had to directly order his parole violated because that is the level of weakening of our criminal justice system that we've seen in New York State. So yeah, Eric Adams did run as like the most pro-police candidate in the Democratic primary. That is 100% true. But to pretend that we didn't have legislation passed at the state level in New York State or policies introduced at the local level in New York City,
it means you're a good troll, brother. Don't get mad. It means you're a good troll, that you're welcome.
That impacted criminal justice.
I mean that you're welcome here.
This is absurd. Alvin Bragg is one of these district attorneys that's being paid for by George Soros, backed by Sean King, and
no, that's the Talking Shit podcast. Wrong channel.
He reduces about 45 to 56%, depending on the year, of felony charges to misdemeanors. And considering we have an automatic release for certain low-level charges, this has led to people being released time and time again, over and over again, and we've seen the results of these policies.
So I gotta provide more context.
So who was it saying that it was word salad on both sides? Because if you didn't understand that, then I don't know what to tell you, because that was direct and concise as can be.
And the reason I keep interrupting, I do feel bad for that. I do feel bad for that.
Shout out to No Freedoms, our resident and favorite troll. We do love him. He gets a little wild sometimes. We don't always agree, but sometimes we do. And we love having you here, brother. We do very much. I still want you to join the Discord so we can actually have the conversations that you want to have. I just can't have them on YouTube. But I can't force you to do that.
That's all right. We're cool.
But the reason why is because Sean keeps saying so many half-truths, and I got it correct though. I pulled this up. And you are complaining about bail system being reformed, and you pretend that this is the reason why they're violent crime. 74% of people in American jails have not been convicted of the crime, and that is why they started implementing bail reform. So you're pretending that a lot of people who are getting these...
Ask me if I took a plea deal. Ask me if I took a plea deal. All 3 times. Actually, no. The second time I knew I was just getting out because it was New York. So technically, but 2 times, 2 arrests in New Jersey. You think I was going to trial over some weed shit instead of taking probation? Get the fuck out of here.
Are receiving the bail reform and they are released from prison are turning these violent offenders. A lot of people who are being released out because of bail reform.
That's facts, Banner. Most people are in jail because they are waiting trial. If they had been sentenced, they would be in prison. Tell me you don't know about any of this without telling me you don't know about any of this, Nick. You just saying things. Oh, you know what I just realized? I just realized you can't see my candle. Oh, man. I got to find a better place for that. All right. All right. You can't see the dog either. I had everything perfect. I got the thingy here. I got the dog seat here. I got the guitar. Everything's perfect. I'm moving up close enough to block the light.
Are not violent offenders. Even if you bring up 1 or 2 individual cases, that is a very small drop in an ocean of violent crimes that you guys are not preventing. How does this plea...
Welcome back, sweetie.
How does this complaint?
No, you can take you right now. You can be number 2 just because we're a smaller channel. We don't really have many trolls. No Freedoms is absolutely the resident number 1 troll, but you can be second. You can be second. You just got to be good at it.
About people getting off on bond. How does that apologize for the fact that you as police officers are not preventing that crime in the first place and left? I don't understand, because this conversation was supposed to be about crime and public safety. Sean is complaining about a legitimate progressive reform that brings our society to the modern age. in our criminal justice.
Is he though? I don't think he is. Honey, I just got to go to court before a sentence, if not a violent crime, and they can't just keep you in jail. Well, tell that to all the J6 people who are rotting in Rikers right now. That's how it should be, but unfortunately, maybe leave me alone. It's called trichotillomania. And no, I thought you were saying while I'm in bed, do I pull my my hair, my white hairs out? I didn't say that. I don't have a girl, so good try. I don't care enough about these people or what they're saying to put my effort into well thought out comments. Well, it's not about who these people are or what they're saying. It's about how they are communicating. It's about how they're communicating, guys. We have to understand that this is the representation of how people communicate. If we can't bear to listen to somebody just because they're dumb, well, guess what? Nobody's going to know what the fuck you think or what you care about or what you want or anything, because everybody is this dumb. Unfortunately, you have to be able to decode these people. Now, I get it. If you can't handle it, you can't handle it. It's not for everybody. But for those of us are going to soldier on and save this fucking country.
System. We are behind other countries. We entrap people because we hold them in jail. They can't.
But I want to make sure Sean can answer your point, though, because I know you have a lot to say, but Sean has to answer your point.
Yeah, so obviously people in jail disproportionately aren't convicted of crimes because jail is for pre-trial, being held pre-trial, and for people convicted of misdemeanors. If you go to prison, that's for people being convicted and serving sentences of over 1 year. But you have people with repeat criminal histories getting automatic releases due to the fact that we have progressive bail reform. So they're not being convicted because they're being held pre-trial. Yeah, that's the function of jail. In part, it's to hold people pre-trial so they don't have a conviction for that charge, but that doesn't mean anything. That's what we already know.
That's the reason why.
Everything that Sean just said just went in one ear and out the other. All he was doing was waiting to say whatever the fuck he's about to say. And I guarantee that it has nothing to do with what Sean just said. Hey, all right. You're new here, so that's fair. We attack ideas, not people. That's your warning. Hunting Edge, yes. I'm mainly on YouTube. If where's the fucking? I don't even know. I don't think I should have that open, shouldn't I? Hold on. Well, I could drop the link for you. If you would like to come over to the party. And then where are we? Yeah, David Banner said, "Lunch saving the country, one rant and stream at a time." You're goddamn right I am. You are goddamn right. No other way to do it. Mike says, one side spitting facts, the other side spitting opinions. Yep.
Our crime is going up is absurd, Sean.
Yes,
my
thesis, repeat offenders.
My thesis is that we are wasting resources on police that does not prevent crime. So you guys are not to blame progressive reforms for your guys' inability to keep people safe is a dodge. This is a good thing because we need to.
I only got like 25 pounds on you.
The bond system, because what you guys are doing was essentially holding poor. It's a poor tax. Poor people are holding prison. Rich people are allowed to go. And a lot of time, a lot of these poor people are forced to sign up for a plea deal, knowing they didn't do it because they know they can't beat the criminal justice system. That is why it had to go, because it's a deeply barbaric trick that you guys use to boost your numbers. Oh my God, I got a plea deal. We got this other criminal. Look, we solved this crime. No, you guys didn't. You guys entrapped poor people and you guys forced them to sign a plea bargain. Your guys' inability to prevent rape, your guys' inability to solve crime and address the root cause of that is not because of these progressive reforms.
Like, fuck you. Is that you saying I'm going to get beat up by a girl?
Like I said before, the Democratic mayors have given police more power. They have given them more money. Amy Klobuchar have refused to prosecute Derek Chauvin and is complicit with the Minnesota Police Department going off the rails. So you're blaming the progressives and the Democratic Party for the failures of police, even though the Reagan era, the crime bill, the Jim Crow Joe, that wing of the party has been successful in
just jealous because another lady's getting attention in here.
Increasing the power of police is once again absurd. It's absurd.
Sean.
Okay, I mean, it's a lot. So, yeah.
Yes,
so
it is a lot.
First of all, in terms of money,
A lot of bullshit.
I mean, like that's really a canard when it comes to bail reform, because what bail reform?
Ooh, a canard. Does anybody know what a canard is? What is a canard? I need to look that up. Canard. canard is an unfounded rumor or story. See, we get smarter every day.
Canard.
Canard.
Reform actually did was guarantee automatic release and remove judgment from judges. So if you want to say, hey, look, let's lower the bail amounts or even get rid of largely cash bail as an option, then that would be one thing. But what New York State did is they listed a bunch of crimes that judges can't remand with bail set or no bail set criminals on. So this causes violent repeat offenders to be released from prison. What I'm more concerned about is not the amount that this person or that person is being charged. What I'm concerned about is whether or not when somebody shows a pattern of violent behavior, the judge has the power to hold that person pre-trial. And by the way, you are not guaranteed the right to pre-trial release. That's absurd. Our whole jail system comes from English common law. The presumption under English common law was you were going to be held in the dungeon awaiting your trial. It is a reform to allow people to hold.
That's not true.
It is a reform to allow
U.S. law is based on innocent.
Bro, shut up. Wait your turn.
To proven guilty.
Yeah, that's
so not even true.
That doesn't mean
so the whole.
And I kind of put a little bit on Sean because I know that Sean can be a little bit spicier, but I think he's just kind of laying back and be like, oh, this guy don't know what the fuck he's talking about. Let him just dig his own hole.
The whole thing, you're going to keep people in prison. Sorry.
All right.
That doesn't mean what you think it means. Again, the presumption was that you were going to be held pre-trial, and it's a reform to allow people to put some collateral in place of themselves. The reason why we have a right to a speedy trial, which, by the way, I do support reforms to quicken up the speedy trial side of it, is because the presumption, because our justice system is based on English common law, was that you were going to be held pre-trial, and they didn't want you to be held for a long period of time pre-trial. So I do want speedier trials, for sure, 100%, unless the person who's actually arrested waives their right to a speedy trial, or you have just cause in order to delay, which is why you have judges and hearings and all of that. But this idea that you were never intended to be held pre-trial is just not backed up by the history, not backed up by English common law.
Sean, can you please quickly wait. I gotta hold on. Sean, can you please quickly repeat what you said about when a prisoner acts violently and what is done there during the judgment? When the prisoner acts violently, there is a different. Well, you said it earlier. I just want to focus on that for a second.
So under bail.
I'm glad Sean knows what he's talking about because I do not understand the question.
Form in its original machination, there was a list of crimes that you couldn't be held for at all, period. You would have to be automatic release. And it didn't matter how many times you committed the crime. It didn't matter how many violent crimes were in your past history. So this led to people being released time and time again. And we had absurd cases where people would be released same day for like assaulting a Jewish person in Brooklyn. They would get out, assault another Jewish person in Brooklyn, and then they would be arrested again. And then they would get out and do the same thing over and over again. So yeah, you need to be able to assess somebody's history and be able to remember.
No, but this may be something you guys can agree on. No, this is something you guys can both agree on.
Very small number.
Doesn't matter, even if it's a tiny number. Even if it's tiny number, can you agree that that's
the original premise of this debate, Lev? The original premise of this debate, which I thought it was going to be, public safety.
So what? Whatever you thought it was going to be, you were here having a conversation. So whatever you thought you were going to be talking about, is not what you're talking about. So just talk about what you're talking about. Have the conversation instead of trying to win the argument. And guess what? You're not winning the argument either way.
In crime. Sean is pretending that this bail reform, the amount of violent crime, that's a very small drop.
Can we still agree though that wait, Nick, I am the host of this stream and I have to speak right now. And here's what I gotta say. Number one, if there is an incident like Sean said, regardless of how small.
Oh, Miss Sandry, sorry, we don't do Miss Sandry here. Bye.
All it is. Can you guys come together and shake hands on the fact that when it comes to those violent incidents, that is when the book should be thrown at the prisoner, where it's provably a violent incident as far as being held. Do you agree there? Doesn't matter how many. Just
I'm sure she'd be the first one to talk about toxic masculinity, right?
Let's say violent incident, something you guys could both agree on. Is that possible?
I don't trust the state. Like, what would that mean? Because the state, once again, the bail. I don't know what Sean like. What is Sean's like objective?
We already do try to treat people fair, and you know I mean, this is just wrong. This is just wrong.
Because the progressive bail reform is meant so you cannot hold poor people and get plea bargains out of them. So that is the point that we have at.
Yeah, but again, no freedoms. You're a good troll. Like, you're not just saying, oh, women bad. And when you do I put it on the screen? No, I don't.
As activists. So if you worry about violent people being held, okay, we can have a conversation about that. But I really wish we can get back to the original point of this conversation. I only had an hour because you keep asking me about my vision of crime. I keep asking Sean this. He keep bringing up bail reform. That is a very, and I cannot emphasize this enough. And if you're watching this, look at the numbers. That's the amount of people, like, you're arrested, get out of jail, they commit a crime. Do you guys have any idea what? That's a very small number. My question
You
to
wanna go over the
Sean
numbers?
is that neoliberal policing has
Hey, we got Sean McAway in the building. Welcome, brother. Good friend of the channel. Definitely go check him out. He is doing his thing. If you missed the last stream he co-hosted with me, we were talking about the latest in Andrew Tate and everything. So go check that out. Please feel free to drop your channel. And glad to have you, brother.
has been implemented in democratic cities. We spend more on policing and than other countries do on our military budget. But
Well,
Powder here. Arrest poverty.
let's go over the numbers. Let's go over the numbers.
So why?
Let's go over the numbers. So, Sean, let's go over the numbers, and then Nick, you can tell if the numbers are correct or incorrect. So, Sean, let's go over the numbers.
Yeah, so after bail reform, and this is last year's numbers from the NYPD, suspects arrested for shoplifting went on to be charged within 2 months.
Correct. Hold on. I'm gonna back the video up. But judges definitely rule based on how they feel from time to time. Yes. Is the justice system perfect? No. The question that is being presented to Nick by virtue of his own words, what he has presented, he said, this system does not work. Okay, fine. What is your alternative? Well, we just give it to the community. We apprehend a motherfucker. That's not an answer. That is not an answer. Yes, definitely go check out Sean McAway. I'm not gonna bring that up.
21.6% of the time with serious felonies.
Yeah, we're saying numbers. Let's
After
actually
bail
go
reform,
up for
and
numbers.
this is last year's numbers from the NYPD, suspects arrested for shoplifting went on to be charged within 2 months, 21.6% of the time with serious felonies. Before bail reform, that was only 8.1% of the time. So yes, it is going up.
Wait. You can't interrupt, please. Sean, continue.
It's ridiculous because we talking about violent crime.
If you disagree with anything of the numbers,
Childish. Sit and wait your turn. It's called sharing. It's called having a conversation.
disagree with anything in the numbers, you can then, it has absolutely to do with conversation. If you disagree with anything in the numbers, you will have your time to say so. But let Sean continue, please.
And again, if you listen to what I said, the original charge was shoplifting, which you actually used to go.
Is it though? Let me ask you a question, baby better. How much do eggs cost right now? Now, of course, mainly that has a lot to do with inflation and the gas prices, or the fuel prices and the shipping supply, of course. But especially if you look in areas where they have changed the laws to where I think up to $900 is a misdemeanor and not a felony. What's been happening in those areas? Oh, people have just been broad daylight, just sweeping aisles of merchandise into bags and running out the store. What the fuck do you think that does to the people who have to pay for the product in the first place, and then the rest of us who aren't pieces of shit, who are actually going to pay whatever price they put on there because we want to be part of the social contract? I mean, I certainly wouldn't rat them out, but I'd be like, yo, what the fuck? Can you not? And then if they're like, hey, I have zero money, I need to feed my family, you know what I do? I'd buy them the fucking eggs. Goddamn right. Lawlessness is unacceptable at any level. You're telling me it feels good to watch those people steal? We got people. I mean, we got some people who won't just put their cart back. And there's some people who will allow stealing at a mass level that even hurts their own pockets. Because unless you're saying, David Banner, that you are out there stealing eggs, then it is your fucking business, bro. Unless you don't eat groceries, what do you eat? What do you eat that doesn't cost anything? What do you eat that doesn't have to be bought? Unless you have a chicken farm and you raise pigs or whatever the fuck it is, then it absolutely is your business. This is ignorance. This is ignorance. You just don't know how shit works. It's not just the eggs and they're there and they're gone and that's the end of it. You think people don't account for that? You think they don't raise the prices? Do you understand what the term loss prevention means?
To jail for in the city of New York, and you should, because you're stealing from people. But
You said it's none of your business. You have a garden? I'm waiting on that one. Do you have a garden? Because if you have a garden, then okay, then it's not your personal business, but in the sense that the prices of everything around you are relevant to the prices of everything else around that, it is your business. Do you have chickens? It's not ignorance. You're saying corporations back. Well, yeah. Have you not seen prices go up in the last 2 years? Have you not seen places that are have this new $900 misdemeanor law have prices that go up way more than the other places that don't have these laws, even though they're all subject to the same inflation? Kind of folds your argument, though, doesn't it? I said, if I get to steal, I should be able to crack them with a bat on my way out. Sure, whatever you want.
What I said was 21% of those people arrested for shoplifting within the next 2 months would be arrested for a serious felony. Shoplifting is a misdemeanor, so we're seeing an.
But it's a victimist. It's a victimist crime. We should just let people do it, right? Or maybe is it the same people who have the audacity to steal, or the same people that have the audacity to be violent?
How do you reduce shoplifting, Sean?
You arrest people for shoplifting. You try them and convict
and they
them for
keep
shoplifting.
doing shoplifting. So what should we do to address the root cause of shoplifting, Sean? It's almost like we should provide
Give them free stuff, and then they'll stop being criminals.
for the material needs of the people. So, once again, I'm disappointed because we're supposed to be talking about crime and how to address public safety, but we're not doing that because
You can. The link for the Discord where we hold all our panels as soon as the stream is over is in the description. It is free to join. All you have to do is click the link, and you have access to me 24/7.
You bring up shoplifting. How do we reduce this? Like not spending more on the police, you're gonna arrest them, and you just admit that even though you arrest them, you put them back on the street, they're gonna shoplift again. So
here's the big problem though. On one hand, let's say that your theory about
Ariana finally coming in and making some good points.
If we improve all these conditions, there's not going to be any crime anymore. Let's say that's true. While that process is still going on, there's still going to be people committing crime. So for the on-the-ground reality right now, certain things have to be done. You were talking about community policing, and Nick, I was not being against you there. I was actually being on your side. I wanted you to elucidate a little bit more about that, where I was asking you, Nick, how would you, like beyond healthcare, education, all that, how would you see it being organized, local community self-policing?
He doesn't know. That's why he hasn't answered. He doesn't know. He hasn't thought about it.
And the reason why I asked you that is because Sean was
all right, then don't cry about it.
Saying before that the big city, it's too big. There's too many people going.
I wish I could have something. Okay, you can have it. I don't want that thing. Like Jesus Christ. Y'all are off the walls.
Going in and out, it's going to be incredibly hard to do something like that. So, Nick, I'm actually on your side here. I want you to tell Sean why Sean is wrong about that. Why the city may not be big.
David Banner, have a good one. Glad to see you. Glad you are here. See you in the next one.
Enough. Why it could actually be done what you're saying. That's all.
Okay. Once again, I am putting the onus on Sean. It is not me because this debate is supposed to be about crime and public safety. You brought up the fact that shoplifting keep going up when you arrest shoplifters. You guys are not addressing the root.
I can tell. Trust me, I can tell.
Cause that crime. Spending more on police is not reducing that crime. You know, in COVID-19, shoplifting skyrocketed. Why? Because people start struggling more in COVID-19, during COVID-19. Society after society, study after study shows that when material needs are addressed, crime goes down. When you fund the police more, that does not address crime because we are in the crime wave, quote unquote crime wave, despite records amount of funding for the police. Crime has historically gone up in like a year model. And that is irregardless of whether the police is funded more or not. It is based on social and societal changes, whether people in poverty.
It's just all buzzwords. Like, what are you saying, dude?
Whether they're a pandemic, there are a lot of factors that lead to what develops crime. The U.S. law enforcement model that Sean and what has been successful, broken windows policing that's been implemented, giant police budgets been implemented. Lev, you keep asking me about hypotheticals. Let's talk about what's now. What's right now has failed.
Again, if you don't have the ability to understand the use of hypotheticals in general, like if you don't understand how a specific hypothetical is relevant to the conversation, that's fine. But if you don't understand why hypotheticals and analogies are useful in a conversation with two people who are on different sides of an issue, then you're just dumb.
You're not asking Sean about why. Explain how.
Well, because you're proposing the new way.
That.
Nick, if you're proposing the new way, it's only fair that I ask you how this new way works. Isn't that fair?
It's studies show. I don't know. I keep saying these things. I don't know if it bounced off your head. Studies show.
Maybe we're all dumb, and we Nick has just been sitting here and been so gracious and concise and spoon feeding us his ideology, and maybe we're just all so dumb. So now he's realizing it's bouncing off our heads. So let's see what he's got for us.
Material needs that decreases crime. That is what we want. We want the community to be able to control the funds because that is our right. That's our right to do, not unelected capitalists. We control the funds. We monitor our own community. And in your absurd example, if someone pissed on the street, I guess we handle that. But we are
let's
again, no freedoms. Absolutely, he absolutely is correct about that, but not in relation to why crime is by and large without the unique circumstances of a worldwide pandemic happening. That's the point. It's not that he's wrong. It's that the conversation that we're having, it's not relevant. It's an anomaly. How often do we have worldwide pandemics? Definitely not. I mean, it's not our fault people are poor. There certainly are powers that be, but absolutely everybody has their own ability to make money if you try.
Sean asked something about the community policing that. So about his,
we've already been over this. Crime has gone up independent of how people were doing financially. When people's incomes were growing in the 70s and 80s, we saw the largest crime wave into the 90s in the history of the country. Crime has gone down when economic times have gotten rough during the Great Recession, 2008. Experts who agree with you in some regard expected that we were going to have a crime wave. This did not materialize, despite the fact that people were getting poorer. This idea that like criminals are Aladdin, and if we just help them out, they're just going to show us their heart of gold is absurd. What we understand is that people need to have consequences for their actions. And when I talked about shoplifting, that was the first amongst a series of statistics that post bail reform, post the introduction of more progressive criminal justice policies have gone up. And it's because you arrest these people, turn them back out on the streets. And wouldn't you know it, they're not Aladdin. They don't need a break. They are actually repeat offenders that you should help.
Why are they shoplifting?
So Ariana says, why do people always blame the system, but not laziness or ambition? Because it's easier. It's easier. If they say, I'm lazy, if they say, I have no ambition, well, now it's my fault. Now I have to do something. But if it's the system, if it's the government, if it's the whites, if it's whatever, then I could just be a victim. I say, oh no, the white people, they did this. The liberals, the conservatives, the this, the that. Oh my God. And I can get social credit, literally, by just whining. That's why. Freedom says the system fails when many don't believe in it. Once that happens, it's just imaginary bullshit laws. Let them eat cake. There's a lot of truth to that. And that's actually something Tim Pool talks about a lot about, or maybe not Tim Pool himself, but it comes up a lot on the show about how the laws are only as good as the people's trust in them. So 100% agree. 100% agree.
Why are they shoplifting, Sean?
Because we have
to get free stuff to sell it on the streets. Was it somebody in here? Look for the comments. I remember somebody was talking about Foot Locker.
Studies show the most shoplifted item is food. So you send them on the street, you don't address the material needs, and they shoplift again. And you guys ask the question, oh my God, I can't believe they did it again.
Yeah, they're shoplifting. They're shoplifting.
Nick, why do they?
Ooh, good question. Do the rich steal or not?
Well, okay, I'm the moderator. I'm not going to get into this, but Sean, as far as the questions of the root causes and the more localized community policing that Nick proposes, would you give him anything there as far as maybe something like that would be possible to be done without having the police be like revenue collectors? I can give you one example of having police be, and I don't know if this would work in New York City, but it would work like in local towns, having like a sheriff deputy type system. There's a little bit more accounting because the police are local to the specific area.
And after all of that, the IRS has the audacity to say that, oh, you know, over the 2 weeks that we made you work in a global pandemic when we didn't know what was going on, and then we laid you off, and then you found a job in 2 weeks, and you were entitled to money because you need to live for 2 weeks. Yeah, you need to give us that money back. Why? Whatever. Yeah, I got a message in the mail that I owe them however much money. I'm not fucking paying that. I go into my account and I was like, excuse me, Excuse me. That's my money.
that they're in. People know the police a little bit more, so maybe going in that direction can help. Maybe that could be a good place for you guys to meet in the middle.
I mean, all police departments are local, except for like state and federal agencies, which represent a small portion of the population. But as far as root causes, like the reason I'm not interested in root causes is because they're not in
There we go. Foot Locker sells food. I knew I seen it.
more important than any other cause. Just because you identify a root cause for something doesn't mean the most efficient way to deal with it is to address the root cause. A perfect example of this is with AIDS, right? The root cause of AIDS is the HIV virus. Now, if you have $100 to spend, you could say, I'm going to address the root cause and spend that $100 on trying to cure HIV. But in reality, during the time that you're trying to solve this problem, where you may or may not cure that disease, it's transmitting, people are getting infected, HIV is progressing into AIDS and all of that, and people are dying. So this is why in medical research, we try to go after the symptoms and do a multifaceted approach in order to address these problems, which is why now we have drugs that actually prevent people from fully progressing into getting AIDS from HIV. We have a whole bunch of transmission and safe sex campaigns. We have a bunch of drugs that help you post-exposure and pre-exposure. So the idea that we would spend all of our time and effort on these root causes, which by the way, don't even line up with the data, like poverty, doesn't make any sense to me. We should go for the most efficient way to address the issue. And as James Q. Wilson said, if you want to lower the crime rate, you can mechanically do that by putting criminals away, removing them from society, incapacitating them so that they can't commit crimes in our society.
So Sean earlier was like, America is this uniquely violent society. And you wonder why. I told you guys, I don't know why the onus is on me. Sean's ideology has been tried in the United States. And the ideology that you just heard led to the most violent country. Because who cares about the root causes? In Portugal, in China, and other countries, they addressed the root cause. They provide healthcare. They're providing housing to their people. And you wonder why the violent crime rate is lower in these countries? Maybe address the root cause if you're actually serious about crime, which is why we need a critical approach to Sean's ideology, because we are talking about the crime wave now, and the crime wave that we are under, and the crime wave that you guys keep talking about every 2 years when you guys need to get more police funding. That's the result of your ideology of not wanting to look at the root cause, while other countries have done so, and studies have proven that if you have a more progressive model where you actually care about people, that will reduce crime, because that reduces the incentive for people needs are addressed.
All right, I'm over this. They're just going around in circles, guys. What I really wanted to show you was that this is not how you argue. This is not how you debate. This is not how you present your ideas to not only an individual, but to an audience. To an audience. I don't know. I mean, what are the views on this? This guy, 5,000 views. 5,000 views. 5,000 people watched you blubber around and act like a moron. If this is the level of political discourse that is happening in our country, that we are fucked. If this is the level that people are producing, we are fucked. Please, guys, do not be like Nick. Do better. Don't get offended when people ask you tough questions. Don't get mad because you were proven wrong on something. Just get the you can ignore the Nightbot. Welcome, Jared. Welcome. What did you think I would sound like? Like this? But welcome to the party, even though we are just heading over to Discord. You just missed the whole party. We went over this debate about crime and socialism. So if you have thoughts on that, there is a link to the Discord in the description. We are about to head over there in a few minutes. I just want to get you guys' final thoughts, and thank you so much for hanging out here. And yeah, I mean, I think the debate itself didn't have too much substance in and of itself, but I think there's a lot of value in watching people actually try to explain themselves when they don't know how to do it. Because unfortunately, all of us, myself included, are going to be in the position where we kind of feel like we know what we're talking about, and we realize like, oh, maybe I didn't realize I thought I knew as much as I thought I did. And if you dig your heels in, I promise it won't work out for you. But if you can be a little bit, just, hey, oh, all right, I didn't know that. Thank you for teaching me something. Then you will do much better. You will do much better. And we will all do much better. So I'm very, 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 very excited to hear from you guys. The link to the Discord is in the description, guys. It is absolutely free to join for right now. I have a number in my head. When we reach that number, I'm cutting it off. Everybody in the Discord stays for free forever. Everybody else, there is going to be a monthly charge, and people are going to want to pay it. So join now while you still can. Divine and Rod, I'm talking to you. But good to see you. Good to see you. Juck Tacos. Ooh, that sounds good. Jared, again, you are very much welcome. And like I said, link is in the description. Come through. And you guys know we are 25. Unless anybody subscribed tonight, we are 25 people away from monetization. I want to do this full time. You think I'm doing this good now? Wait until I have all day to put this stuff together. I already have a reaction video that I'm putting out for you guys tomorrow morning. I already have a whole bunch of stuff to talk to you about tonight. And I still got to go to work. So just guys, if we can get over that line, I promise you, what I can do is tenfold. He says one day. He probably, I mean, hey, ask Just a Cog. Just a Cog. Are girls allowed to speak in Discord or no? What do you think? What do you think? You don't see a link for Discord. Did I not put it in there? It's definitely in there. Here, I'll drop it again. Invite people. Send a friend a link. I just dropped it one more time. Jared has joined the Discord. Let's go. And oh, wow. Wow, look at that. Women are allowed to speak. Very good. So let's do it, guys. Let's head over there. I am very excited to hear from you. I want to thank you guys so much for hanging out. If you haven't already, again, please hit the subscribe button. We are so close. All I want for Valentine's Day is monetization. All I want is to be justified, guys. I know I try to puff my chest out a lot, but I put so much work into this shit. I put so much time and energy and effort, and I've lost so much sleep over this. I cannot close my eyes at the end of the night without thinking about how I can make things better. So please, if you could just hit that subscribe button, if you could just, comment on the shorts that come out, little things really, really, really do help. And you guys know those notifications are terrible for YouTube. So when you come in, just take either the URL right there, or there's an even easier way. There's a share button. Just pop it, throw it on Facebook, YouTube, another YouTube channel, a Twitter thing, whatever. And we will get these parties popping. I promise you. We've only just begun, guys. We have only just begun. We got it. Boom, boom. Yeah. All right, guys. I am very excited. Thank you so much for hanging out. Even if you can't, monetarily support the channel and the brand, that is perfectly fine. That is perfectly fine. Just spending your time here is all that I need from you. That means the world to me. And don't worry, no freedoms. I am also very drunk. Well, not very drunk, a little drunk. I'm going to get drunk as we continue to talk, but don't worry. So if you can't do that, just come in here and hanging out with me, being part of the Discord, all of that stuff really does mean a lot to me. And I'm waiting for that comment to come up on StreamYard. There's a little bit of a delay. Come on, there we go. No Freedom should definitely get on Discord. That is where you'll see all of us. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out. I think this was fun. This wasn't, this was a little less serious than some of the stuff that we've been talking about recently, but it was fun. And, we switched around a lot. Sometimes we talk about the men's stuff. Sometimes we talk about politics. Sometimes we talk about culture. Sometimes we talk about religion and how terrible and awful and stupid it is. But you guys like me anyway, right? So thank you so much for hanging out. I hope you enjoyed yourself. Again, I am your host, Lutch, a.k.a. the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Until next time, guys, I am out of here. Peace.